Good morning, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma here, live with severe weather coverage. This is part 3 already today. It's only 7:39 in the morning, and yes, part 3 coverage is live. We do now have a severe thunderstorm warning in place for a very intense thunderstorm moving onshore. This is an immediate broadcast situation here for Porcupine Mountain State Park. Again, if you know anybody camping out at Porcupine Mountain State Park, this is immediate broadcast requested to them right now. A very strong thunderstorm moving in. The National Weather Service in Marquette has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Gogebic County and southern Ontonagon County until 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Central Time. At 7:36 a.m. Eastern, 6:36 a.m. Central, a severe thunderstorm was located 13 miles northwest of Porcupine Mountain State Park, moving southeast at 45 miles per hour. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for ping pong ball-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Radar indicated impact is people and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees also expected. Locations in this severe thunderstorm warning include Porcupine Mountain State Park, Bergland, Bruce Crossing, Northern Lake Gogebic, Norwich, Clark Lake, White Pine, Lake Gogebic State Park, Ewan, Mirror Lake, Lake of the Clouds, and Meriwether. Remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or a small central room in a sturdy structure. For your protection, move to interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Once again, hazards. Max wind gusts 60, max hail size 1.5 inches in diameter, and a tornado is possible with this thunderstorm. Again, this is a potentially serious situation here, especially for a portion of the state that does not have good cell service reception. Speaking from experience here, again, this is heading straight into Lake of the Clouds. In fact, some of the hail is probably already starting to fall at Lake of the Clouds. Got to switch over our product here and probably go over to Marquette. But just looking at the Duluth radar, this is a very impressive supercell moving in at the current time. We're taking a look at correlation coefficient again. Anytime you see the reds change over to yellows and oranges, that is a sign that we do have some sort of meteorological phenomenon kind of tumbling around the atmosphere right now that is jagged in nature. So not rain. Rain is going to be circular. Hail is going to be more jagged. And so that's what we're seeing right now inside of the cell. VIL kind of puts the center bullseye of that hail core straight into Porcupine Mountain State Park, which again is where a lot of people are likely camping, especially here on July 27th. So again, this is potentially a very life-threatening situation for portions of Porcupine Mountain State Park. If you know anybody camping there right now, they need to get to the nearest sturdy structure as soon as possible. Again, ping pong ball-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and a tornado possible, all on this severe thunderstorm warning as it moves in. The POSH reading here, probability of severe hail, is at 84%. So this is the first cell in a line of cells. We're also watching a thunderstorm moving into northern Ontonagon County right now up towards the Camp 18 road area. But again, that is not severe warned yet. There's a special marine warning on it for another 16 minutes. That is for 34 knots of wind. But again, the main concern here is a supercell moving onshore into Porcupine Mountain State Park. I will now go ahead and switch over to the Marquette radar. It's going to be a little bit further away, but again, this wind here is very impressive. The rotation is very strong in the backside of the storm. These supercells today, again, they'll have the look to them, but the actual hook itself, because these storms are moving from pretty much northwest or north-northwest in some cases down to the south, southeast, or southeast, your hook is going to be pretty much on the west side of the storm, perhaps even on the northwest side of the storm today. And again, it will be the area to watch for rotation. And right now, very strong rotation on the northern side of the storm. It's very hard to see because it's so far away. We're looking at 12,200 feet away from the Marquette radar, or sorry, the beam height at this location just offshore from Lake of the Clouds from the Marquette radar. The lowest scan that we have is 12,200 feet off the ground. We can't see anything below that from the Marquette radar. If we look at the Duluth radar, I think it's going to be a little closer here, down at not much. 8,000 feet is our lowest scan. So anything below 8,000 feet, we can't see on radar. We're limited by technology here in the Western Upper Peninsula. So even though the rotation may not look as strong on our radar, Again, this is a supercell that is likely going to be mixing down to the surface here, especially as it comes on shore. And that is some gnarly looking colors here on your base reflectivity, which would be a sign of some very intense hail. Go ahead and take a 3D scan on this cell. Just kind of take a look at the hail core. Wow. Oh, yeah. The hail core on this is up around 35,000 feet. That is a very intense hail core. And again, that's moving into the Porcupine Mountain State Park first, eventually heading off towards White Pine and Bergland with time. And so this is this is not a good situation for people that are at Porcupine Mountain State Park right now. Again, Porcupine Mountain State Park, for those who are curious, is all of this area of northwestern Ontonagon County. You can actually see the entry road right here, which is called 107th Engineers Memorial Highway. That takes you right up to the Lake of the Clouds. If I turn off radar, there's your Lake of the Clouds right there. And there's campgrounds all around these lakes. So obviously you have the main Lake of the Clouds. There's a bunch of off-site camping areas. There's another lake here. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. But that one also has hiking trails to it. A couple other smaller lakes in here. Again, all of these lakes that you see basically in here all have campsites around them. The park extends all the way down here to the west. And there's the western edge. Here's a couple falls. There's a river through here. I've been at this campground before, right on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. Not really any service out there whatsoever. So again, if you know anyone camping, if you can get a hold of them, you need to let them know here at 7:46 a.m. Eastern, or if you're in Gogebic County, it's 6:46 Central Time. We have a very intense thunderstorm moving in, severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds, 1.5-inch hail, and a tornado possible with a storm. And it's continuing to track off to the southeast at about 45 miles per hour. So with time, this will make it down to, down towards Lake Gogebic, the Bergland area here. And again, that's going to be your M28 corridor in southern and southwestern Ontonagon County. Also watching a thunderstorm in the lower peninsula right now that is statemented. Again, we kind of have this chain of storms along what we call our ring of fire. And so this ring of fire is basically a general source of lift. Obviously, our heat dome has been building. Most of that heat is trapped under that ring of fire, which is right now off to the west. And so today we might not get those 90-degree temperatures that were previously forecasted because this ring of fire has kind of stalled over us, which means, anything to the east of the ring of fire, good news, not really going to see the heat. But because we're kind of in that zone of the ring of the fire, that means the storm chances are going to be a little bit more significant. And this storm does have quite the wind pocket on it right now. According to Velocity Radar here, the reds and the greens a little bit brighter. The main thing that sticks out here, if you guys zoom out, you can see it. Check out all that lightning moving in right now to Paw Paw, Lawrence, and Hartford. That is quite the thunderstorm. Again, not severe at the current time, but there's just, if you look at Breedsville and Bangor here, there's just lightning. If you look at 1 square mile, oh, it updated. Gonna wait for more lightning strikes to come in, but if you saw that there's like 12 strikes per square mile, which is, pretty intense. And again, lightning rate right now is at least probably a dozen strikes per minute. And so again, that's a very strong thunderstorm. 40-mile-per-hour wind and penny-sized hail in the Bangor area, Breedsville. Again, pretty much all of Van Buren County and extreme southern Allegan. We'll have to see if that gets upgraded to a warning for maybe 60-mile-per-hour winds, but at the current time, 40 and penny-sized hail are possible. National Weather Service Marquette has also updated their severe thunderstorm warning for Ontonagon and Gogebic. I don't think anything has really changed. No, I'm not seeing any change yet. I guess we'll see what the text says. They didn't really change anything in this warning, unless there was like a typo or something. So again, it's still in effect until 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central for portions of Ontonagon and Gogebic County. And these storms are going to continue to move off to the southeast at 45, according to the text. Ping pong ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, moving in towards Lake of the Clouds, Porcupine Mountain State Park right now. Good news here, if there's going to be any good news, is we kind of lost a little bit of our hook. Bad news is it's not going to take much for it to revamp itself here, kind of go through that cycling phase. Again, some very intense velocities on the left edge of the storm. Now, again, this is going to be kind of a little bit on what we call the side lobe area, where it's kind of false data. But we do have to watch closely on the edge of the storm, because you can still get quick spin-up tornadoes or water spouts, especially in this case, moving in to Porcupine Mountain State Park. And this is right on the edge. It's going to be going right down the county line between Gogebic and Ontonagon County, which is right in the heart of Porcupine Mountain State Park. The hail core itself, a little bit off to the north, so that's directly hitting the 107th Engineers Memorial Highway, Lake of the Clouds, and surrounding vicinities. So again, very large hail likely falling in Lake of the Clouds. If you are outside camping, it's going to be very hard to kind of be out there right now. So there's not much in the way of sturdy structure. I always say go to sturdy structure, but we understand the situation out here in the state park. Bathhouse would be better than being in a tent. I will say that right now. I mean, there's a couple bathhouses at some of these campgrounds that are secured to the ground. They're not the best place to be, but it is a place to be versus a tent, for example. And again, if you don't have any shelter at all, again, a car is going to be better than just being out in the elements. So, and that is related to, of course, hail and wind. Now, again, if there's a tornado coming in, which again, the storm does have tornado possible, you want to be in the lowest possible spot out there. So in some cases, there is low terrain that you can kind of jump down in and wait for it to kind of pass over. So no tornado warning right now, but tornado possible. That is the text in the severe thunderstorm warning. For those who are curious, yes, severe thunderstorm warnings can have a special note that says tornado possible in it, because they're monitoring strong rotation within the storm. The timing map I released last night, it might already be a little bit off compared to what was modeled yesterday. And that's just the way this Ring of Fire works sometimes is, you know, you can have this Boeing segment come in, which is still in some capacity modeled later today. It just might be pushed back a little bit later, which still should hit during the daytime hours. But, I mean, this line of storms is still primarily on Lake Superior. I also do apologize. It is early for me, and so this is causing me to yawn a little bit. So I do apologize. I am human after all, not a robot. But if you guys caught the timing map last night, the timing for the Upper Peninsula was primarily before 8 a.m. Eastern. It is currently 7:52 a.m. Eastern. So according to our model runs, this Boeing segment should be pretty much through the Upper Peninsula by this time. That was according to last night's model run. As you can see, it took a little bit for this line to develop, but is now developing here back in Lake Superior vicinity, northeastern Minnesota, and now heading into the western Upper Peninsula at this time. So that pushes everything back by probably 2 hours. So if you were in the timing map of 8 to 10, now you're in the 10 to 12. If you're in the 10 to 12 previously, now you're in the 12 to 2. If you're in the 2 to 4, or sorry, if you're in the 10 to 12, you're now in the 2 to 4. And if you're in the 2 to 4, you're now in more likely the 4 to 6 time range. That is not including any of these prefrontal storms. Sorry, not prefrontal storms, but Ring of Fire storms that are already firing up, including these storms in Van Buren, Allegan, up here towards Oceana, Muskegon, Ottawa, and even Mason counties. Again, this is a very fluid situation where you have the Ring of Fire just kind of doing whatever it wants to do, despite what the models say. Again, that timing map was primarily for this main Boeing segment that is still trying to get its act together on Lake Superior. But again, there's still storms firing up down here in the West Michigan vicinity. So while our eyes are all on this stuff out here in Lake Superior, again, storms all firing up right now along that Ring of Fire, south of Menominee County down into West Michigan. Cells now mostly on the shore. The rotation is still pretty intense there. Again, there's no roads out here. This is just all Porcupine Mountain State Park. A lot of campers And I mean, at this height, it's so far away from radar. I mean, you almost, yeah, I mean, there's your, look at your reds and greens on velocity, everyone. That is not the most ideal. I mean, that's close to, in my opinion, probably tornado warning criteria on rotation, just given that it's so far away from the radar site, and the reds and greens are pretty decent at this height. There's also a marker in here right now. I kid you not, the GR2 radar analysis 3.08 inch hail could be falling. Now again, GR2 analyst here, which is the radar software I'm using, it's computer generated markers that are put on these storms based on the information it's getting in from these upper levels of the atmosphere. So while yes, 3-inch hail could be tumbling around, it's most likely going to be tumbling around in the updraft right now above our heads. As these hailstones eventually fall, obviously they kind of collide into each other. They undergo some sort of melting as they do fall, and they end up turning into, maybe half that size. But again, that's still, 3-inch hail. That could be what we see is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning at some point here as the storm moves into the Porcupine Mountain State Park. I would not take your chances, no matter what sort of hail is out there falling. Again, I've seen it firsthand. Even 1.75-inch hail can cause damage. I've seen it dent my vehicle before when I used to storm chase a lot. If that can do dents to your vehicle, just imagine what it can do to human skin. That's going to hurt. And so again, 1.5-inch hail is what's on this warning right now. We're looking at GR2 software, which is depicting right now upwards of 3-inch hail could be tumbling around the atmosphere. Don't know if that's falling out, but I'm also taking a look at the 3D scan right now, and this hail core is, I mean, the word here is going to be massive. It's probably as wide as this entire storm, also around 32,000 feet. This is the tallest height on this severe thunderstorm, or on this hail core. So right now, I need a mesoscale. I need to look at the mesoscale data, see what the freezing layer is, how much of that is above freezing. Okay, so that's not as bad as I thought. The freezing layer is a little bit higher up than was thought, but that's probably going to mix down with time today. It's still a lot in the freezing layer, though. Yeah, so the freezing layer right now is around 14 to 15,000 feet. And so anything above 14,000 to 15,000 feet right now is in the freezing layer. And that hail core, given it's up to 30,000 feet, that's 15,000 feet of freezing ongoing in this hail core right now. So that is likely a very strong thunderstorm. Man, that latest scan on the rotation, Lake of the Clouds needs, I mean, Lake of the Clouds should be in shelter, but again, we understand the technology issues out there. If you have any ways of contacting friends, family, people visiting from out of state, please let them know. Again, this is a very serious situation here for a portion of the state that does not have good cell service. Speaking from experience, Porcupine Mountain State Park, Lake of the Clouds, severe thunderstorm warning, 60-mile-per-hour winds, ping pong ball sized hail, and a tornado is possible with this storm. My watch is going off here. Okay. So I want to make sure that wasn't my alarm. I did set my alarms to get up here so I could cover these storms with you all this morning. And that is exactly what we're doing. That rotation there, as you can see, the reds and greens on radar, very intense. It's not the right spot. It's rotation's gonna be a little bit displaced off to the west, if anything. But again, that's really far away from the radar site, so it's really tough to tell. Duluth radar has it a little bit better. 8,500 feet off the ground. This is what we're seeing in terms of rotation. We can't see anything below that. If you don't know anybody up this way, liking a share goes a long ways as well. You never know who you could be helping across the state. Once the algorithm kind of sees that this stream is getting a lot of likes and shares, they'll push out to a lot of fellow Michiganders, and after that, a lot of people around the Great Lakes region. So again, you could hit that like button, and that one singular like could push this stream into friends and families' streams of people that they know that could be in the Lake of the Clouds, Porcupine Mountain State Park vicinity. So you never know who you could be helping out in the long term by just simply hitting that like button, which you can do in 0.1 seconds. So feel free to do that at this time. Again, very strong to severe thunderstorm moving into Lake of the Clouds right now. It does not, I just do not like seeing these pinks change over to the darker grays and the black shading. Again, when we see on the normal reflectivity radar these pinks change into these darker shadings like that, these rain droplets, which on the DBZ radar are showing up as 73 dBz, that is about the size of your entire thumb, maybe a size of 2 fingers wide, a singular rain droplet. And so if you put those very large rain droplets all the way up into the freezing layer, again, your larger surface area, it's going to turn into supercooled liquid a lot quicker at the current time. And so, you know, large hail is definitely going to be the main factor here. 3.26 inch hail is the marker on the storm now. Also looking at our environment behind the scenes, I will say this, the only thing that the cell has going good for it right now is that there's not a whole lot of surface-based CAPE on it. And so because there's not a lot of surface-based CAPE on it, it's going to be harder to get your tornadoes to travel down to the surface, excuse me. Still, 60-mile-per-hour winds, still don't want to mess with those. And of course, the hail factor, definitely an issue. It's just looking at these 73 dBz's on here. Again, you never want to see the pinks change over into your dark grays and black shading. So please, if you know anybody in this area, let them know. Again, heading towards White Pine and Berglund with time. 45-mile-per-hour movement off to the southeast. Actually heading towards Lake Gogebic, Ewan, and Bruce Crossing. Warnings in effect for another 28 minutes, and there's still more cells firing up behind this main line, and what should be eventually our main Boeing segment that moves across the state later today. Again, if it follows the ring of fire, it would hit primarily West Michigan, but there is signs that this could extend to the east with time as well. So it's a very fluid situation. We have to watch and wait and see how these storms play out throughout the day, especially here across the Upper Peninsula. Timing getting pushed back as it stands. And so, you know, plus or minus 2 hour, maybe even closer to 3 hour margin of error from our original timing map that was released last night. Goes to show you these ring of fire setups are just not fun to forecast, and that is kind of what we're dealing with right now. 74 dBz now, right over the parking area for Lake of the Clouds. Understand, you know, sunrise views there at Lake of the Clouds may be good, but take a look behind you, or now over you, I should say, as this thunderstorm moves in. Upwards of ping pong ball size hail and 6-mile-per-hour winds are possible. This thunderstorm is all the way up at 46,000 feet. I'm sure it's probably a little bit higher as well. Taking a look at the 3D scan. Yeah, the highest centralized updraft is up around 51,000 feet. If you know anybody that is out at Lake of the Clouds, that is able to send in reports when it's safe to do so, we would appreciate it. With this large hail this morning, especially right now in Lake of the Clouds, but especially downstream as this continues to move southeast. If you live in Ontonagon County or extreme northern Gogebic County, this Berglund, White Pine area, have a ruler ready to go or some sort of sports ball or coin. We need to, when we do these hail reports, especially on days like today where this hail could be significant in size, I mean, if this is upwards around 2 inches in diameter, like the radar is suggesting, or higher, again, everyone's hands are different sizes. So you want to make sure that a coin or ruler is on hand, so that way we can accurately measure this hail and send it over to the National Weather Service with an accurate reading. Still rotation right now over Lake of the Clouds. Main concern, though, is hail, ping pong ball size in nature. Warning remains in effect for 26 more minutes. Take a quick update down to the south. Our lightning barrage does continue in Van Buren County. Wind-wise, still a decent wind signature in here. According to the Grand Rapids radar, I'm also curious to see if there's any outages coming in with this storm yet, or if it's just all elevated. We're going to hope it's all elevated. There are a couple outages coming in. 748 and 803. And 752. So there's a couple outages coming in Van Buren County. It's trying to do a supercellular look too. You can definitely see the surge. See how this left edge of the storm is going quicker than everything else? It's pushing straight down south into Hartford. Hartford, I'd be on alert for strong gusty winds. And that allows some of these to mix down to the surface even more, greater than 40 miles per hour. There is a pixel here on 48th Avenue at Caleb with a K Road, 55 miles per hour at the current time in a somewhat unstable environment. Heading right into Hartford, Lawrence area. Very strong winds. No severe thunderstorm warning on it, but that's something we watch.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning has been upgraded.
Okay, so there is an echo, and there is our severe thunderstorm warning upgraded. And yeah, they are upgrading it for both hazards at the current time. Yeah, I don't know if Ryan's listening right now. Okay, Ryan is aware. I'll post to be out on the page here in a second. This is the same severe thunderstorm warning that was issued originally. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 8:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Central Time. For central Gogebic and southern Ontonagon counties, at 8:04 Eastern, 7:04 Central, severe thunderstorm was located near Bergland, or 8 miles south of Porcupine Mountain State Park, moving southeast at 45 miles per hour. It's a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for golf ball-sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Impact here: people and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Expect considerable tree damage. Wind damage also likely to mobile homes, roofs, and outbuildings. Still have Porcupine Mountain State Park, Bergland, Bruce Crossing, Northern Lake Ogeebic, Norwich, Clark Lake, White Pine, Ewan, Mirror Lake, Lake of the Clouds, and Meriwether in the severe thunderstorm warning. They have dropped the tornado possible, likely due to the fact that we are seeing the storm still a little bit elevated in nature at the current time. Still a very strong meso, don't get me wrong. That entire meso itself is kind of rotating around the upper levels of the atmosphere. But at the current time, they have dropped the tornado possible tag, and they're continuing the severe thunderstorm warning for golf ball size hail, which is 1.75 inches in diameter, and wind gusts up to 70 are possible within this storm. If you're in this orange warning box with a red outline around it, you need to be taking shelter now. Do not wait. Again, this does not trigger WEAs on your phone, but if you have any other alerting app on you, this probably just updated it for considerable warning. A wireless emergency alert would go off on your phone for 80-mile-per-hour winds and or baseball-sized hail, which we hope we don't have to see this morning, but decent lapse rates out there. Take a look at the inverted V. It's not as great yet. I'm sure as the day goes on, we get more of that heat out there. That downburst signature is going to get a little bit better. But still, good D cape on it right now, downdraft cape. And that will allow for these 70-mile-per-hour winds to be a possibility as the day goes on. Also going statement, Cass and St. Joseph. That is an extension of the storm down here in Van Buren County that has taken up the entire county. I mean, the lightning density on this is just incredible. If you're not getting the wind or the hail, the lightning is something you need to be taking into account for Hartford, Paw Paw, 94 areas, and this is now heading into Cass and St. Joseph counties. Statement now in effect for 40-mile-per-hour wind and half-inch hail. So that is going to be the theme here with this cell, along with frequent cloudy ground lightning. Moving southeast. Speed is about 30 miles per hour in that. But the main concern right now is still up to the north. It is in Lake of the Clouds right now. kind of a mess. Actually, I think we have a new cell forming down to the south. Ooh. Don't like that. I am not a fan of that. A new cell forming down to the south end of the Porcupine Mountain State Park. There's your new cell, circling it right now. There's no major landmarks other than still Porcupine Mountain State Park. Left side cell, it's getting a new hook on it. The main updraft is still in the central portion of the state park, heading into White Pine right now with some very large hail possible. But again, left side, that is something to be watching for a new cell / development. And again, this line is going to congeal, I would imagine, at some point in the next couple of hours here. Man. Yeah, some of the instability that's out there this morning already, very impressive. Again, don't want to downplay today at all. Lifted indices are well into that area here. Let's take a look at the mixed layer CAPE. Yeah. 2,500 joules per kilogram of mixed layer CAPE. That's some decent signatures, with a lot of that turning into downdraft CAPE. Again, damaging winds definitely on the table today. If you guys missed our outlook, we pushed a special outlook last night at, what time was it? It was right before midnight. And yeah, we have an elevated risk out, primarily for the western half of the Lower Peninsula here today. Again, that map was made primarily for the morning hours beyond 8 a.m. and that was expected to be primarily a Dickinson, Menominee County, and Point South threat, but this line of storms has slowed down, and so we're still seeing severe thunderstorms up here post 8 a.m. according to our timing map in Ontonagon and Gogebic County, and there's still cells heading into this vicinity that will likely take their sweet time moving off to the southeast at 45 miles per hour. The cell to the south is slowing down. It's not a fan of the cell at all. This storm needs to go away. White Pine, Bergland, again, if you're hearing us for the first time now, you need to be taking shelter immediately. This is a situation you do not want to be playing around with golf ball size hail and snow power winds a possibility within this storm. And again, if you have any reports to send in when it's safe to do so, here at Michigan Storm Chasers, we have our messenger open. However, again, if you haven't downloaded the Michigan Storm Chasers app yet, and today is a great day to do so, I will say this before you go ahead and jump to the App Store, it is only on Apple. We are still waiting on Android / Google Play to approve our app. It has been a couple weeks now since we've officially submitted it for review. They sat on it for 10 days, and then they finally said, nope, we don't want to upload this to our store. We need you to fix a couple things. So we have, and it's in review again. It's been in review for a couple days now. So we're still waiting on Google Play to upload or to confirm our apps released to the Google Play Store. But if you're on Apple, feel free to go check that out. It's been released now for about 5 days over on Apple. So if you're now just hearing the news, check out the app. The main reason why we're telling you to go ahead and download the app on Apple right now, where it is out, is because there's a reporting section now on the storm reports where we can just see these storm reports with the geotag location as you submit them in. Now, again, something to keep in mind is if you are getting a report, you can't take it off of your camera roll, at least at the current time. If you're going to do a report, it has to be in through the app because we don't want people to take someone else's report and submit it as their own, especially since it doesn't have geotag location. So feel free to use the app today. It's going to be coming in handy, especially for any sort of wind damage that may occur. A new severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect. It's going to be for Van Buren, so they have got enough confidence now that it does make sense with that downburst signature, that surge as we saw going across the Hartford area. Wait for the warning to pop in. I'll go ahead and read the details off here. Ooh. They've got some confidence in this one. Okay. Interesting. Still a little bit of an elevated storm, but I'll read off the text. National Weather Service Grand Rapids issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Van Buren County in southwestern Michigan until 9 a.m. At 8:13 a.m. Eastern, severe thunderstorm was located near Hartford, or 11 miles west of Paw Paw, moving south at 25 miles per hour. Hazards here: 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. It is radar indicated. Expect damage to roof siding and trees. Locations impacted include Paw Paw, Hartford, Lawton, Decatur, Keeler, and Lawrence. Special text: remain alert for a possible tornado. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. Special text number 2: intense thunderstorm lines can produce brief tornadoes and widespread significant wind damage. Although a tornado is not immediately likely, it is best to move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. This storm may cause serious injury and significant property damage. Again, a special text that was included by the National Weather Service Grand Rapids. Once again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail, and a tornado possible in this thunderstorm in Van Buren County. It is trying to rotate in on itself, despite the fact that it is still elevated. When we say it's elevated, it's not tapping into its true potential down here at the current time, but it's actually a little bit more uncapped than that storm up in the Upper Peninsula. So, if any storm is going to be closer to tornadoing, out of the two we have currently warned, so Ontonagon, Gogebic, and Van Buren is closer to becoming a tornado than the Upper Peninsula. And you can see right now the reds and greens are starting to kind of make that. I can't use my left hand because it's injured, but there you go. It makes that hooking shape where the hands are kind of grasping together like couplers on a train, I guess you could say. The reds and greens kind of hook into each other. And if they come closer together and they're bright like that, that is where you need to watch for potential tornadic spin up. At the current time, though, it is still a little bit broad. You don't want to discredit it, though. This is heading right towards Decatur. If you're in Decatur right now, you need to be taking shelter. 60-mile-per-hour winds are the main hazard. Whether it's 60-mile-per-hour winds straight line or 60-mile-per-hour winds rotating around like a tornado, it's 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. You don't want to take your chances. Take shelter now. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. If you have a basement, it's going to be your best place to be. Underneath the stairwell. If you don't have a basement, that interior room on the lowest floor, so a pantry or a closet, if you do have an interior room. If you don't have any of the necessities of an interior room or sturdy structure, if you're in a mobile home, the best place to be is to jump into that bathtub, cover yourself with as many layers as possible on that storm down there. We gotta back up to the north. This cell is continuing to ingest more development. And so at the current time, is losing its kind of moxie here as it moves into the Bergland area. So Bergland down to Ewan. Storm tops on these up around 50,000 feet still. So like I said, losing its moxie, but if this can clear out the junk to the left, so to the west, over in Gogebic County, it could re-intensify quite significantly here. Not saying that these storms are still producing that large hail, but our higher DBZ values that we saw previously over the Porcupine Mountain State Park, they have decreased a decent amount. You still want to be taking this seriously. Considerable severe thunderstorm warning for golf ball sized hail and scenario power winds is not something you want to mess around with. Also, if you're at or along, the lakeshore of Ontonagon County, you still have more cells in tow on Lake Superior right now. So you may have survived the first one, picking up the pieces. You need to be on alert. You still have a second cell, third cell, fourth cell firing up behind it. All of these blue boxes you see on the lake are special marine warnings. And those are equivalent of severe thunderstorm warnings over the water. And these cells do have what appears to be water spout potential on them. The warning does not say so. They're still a little bit easier to get water spouts versus tornadoes out here. Keeping an eye on that. Again, the reds and the greens are a little bit close together here in both of these cells. Kind of the weird spot, though. Keep an eye on those as they continue off to the southeast. Still, 1.75 inch hail up to 2 inch hail possible. White pine heading into Berglund here very soon. Ryan, I don't know if you are listening to the stream right now, but if you could get the Berglund cam ready for me, that would be appreciated. We do have a weather camera up here in the Berglund area along the north side of Lake Gogebic. It does face south across the lake. However, we could still see the hail potentially moving in. And of course, the trees kind of swaying across the road from the camera as the storm moves in. So we'll keep an eye on this. We'll try and pull up the camera as the storm moves closer to it. We're going to go ahead and actually head south here. Again, this supercell is trying to get its act together while it cycles. Again, if you're in Berglund, you need to be taking shelter now. White Pine as well. More cells in tow, heading towards Ontonagon. We head back south because there is a tornado possible with a storm in Van Buren County. Usually where the rotation is stronger, we want to make sure we have all eyes on it. Right now, I am currently by myself with this storm. It's in between the radar sites. It's really tough to tell out here. It's a pretty broad area of rotation, but still the reds and greens are close together. A little bit brighter out on County Road 352 near County Road 358. Heading south across 84th at 84th Avenue at 48th Street. It's an opposite. And again, lightning is a huge concern with the storm. There's so many strikes out there right now. Be cautious of house fires due to lightning strikes. It's an actual hazard right now, I would say, with this storm. Just seeing how much lightning is being used right now, or how much energy is being used for lightning within this cell. And again, severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 9 a.m. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail possible with this line of storms as it continues off to the south towards Cass and St. Joseph County. It appears we have Dawn in here now. Go ahead and get her in. There we go. Welcome in, Dawn. Dawn is our ASL translator here at MSC. And as a quick recap for those who are just tuning in with us, we have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect in both peninsulas right now. We have one in the lower peninsula in Van Buren County and one in the upper peninsula in portions of Ontonagon and Gogebic County. 7 minutes left on the storm in the Ontonagon region. They have downgraded the warning. So they went upgrade and then back down to a downgrade for 60-mile-per-hour winds and half-dollar size hail. Kind of goes along with my thought process here of, yes, it's cycling, but you need to be watching out for stronger redevelopment here in the next 15 to 30 minutes. It does look like these storms to the north are getting very close, though. This is likely going to congeal. Storm tops on these 50,000 feet, very impressive. A lot of instability to be used out there. And so you see these storms way up there around 50,000 feet, maybe even a little bit higher. Also, outage-wise, we do have more outages coming in from Van Buren County down there in southwest Michigan. So this is kind of confirming those gusty winds right now in the Paw Paw, Decatur, Lawton, Lawrence area. But alrighty, Ryan is in. There is our Berglund cam, courtesy of Timberline Sports. Looking to the south, kind of across Lake Gogebic. Current time, though, is the storm is still approaching, and so we'll see these dark clouds kind of move over the camera on the top of the screen and push to the south with time. Main hail core in the cell up here near the Bergland area. Still about 5 to 7 miles to the north of town. Getting very close, though, quickly. Forest Highway 360 is the main road out here. There's not a whole lot of other roads that are named, considering these are primarily rural 2-track roads for off-roading and snowmobiles during the wintertime. So Forest Road 360, that's where the center of this core is at right now, kind of traveling parallel down M64 between White Pine and Bergland. Bergland's going to be on alert here very shortly for this large hail, up to ping pong ball size, which is 1.5 inches in diameter.
My camera is also on. If you want to add me to the screen, you're welcome to.
Okay. Welcome in. Ryan was in the middle of a likely very fun daily video update.
Yes, that is posted officially. So we are good to go on that front. If you are watching from areas that are not being impacted right now, if you want a little bit of a breakdown of the day ahead of us, feel free to pop over on YouTube and check out the latest video upload. It just got published. So,
small disclaimer, of course, this ring of fire pattern has been giving us a headache so far across the last 12 to 16 hours here in terms of forecasting.
And that's an understatement too.
Yeah. New warning coming in from the developing west cell, which makes sense. That's going to be kind of congealing here into this line in far western Upper Peninsula. The National Weather Service Marquette has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Gogebic County and southwestern Ontonagon County until 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. At 8:26 Eastern, 7:26 Central, a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles north of Wakefield or 12 miles northeast of Ironwood, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Hazards here are $half sized hail. Source: radar indicated damage to vehicles is expected. Locations in the severe thunderstorm warning include Bessemer, Wakefield, Bergland, northern Lake Gogebic, Thomaston, Clark Lake, Lake Gogebic State Park, Ewan, Black River Harbor, and Meriwether. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Advice here, of course, is going to be staying away from windows. Wind-driven hail could be deadly for those next to a window. Don't want to be hit by some glass shards. So 1.25-inch hail is the main hazard on the storm north of Bessemer. And yes, while these storms in the Upper Peninsula do exhibit some upper level to mid-level rotation, the surface space instability has not yet kicked in, and so these storms are primarily elevated at the current time, which is good, which means tornado activity should stay low for the current time. But as we heat up throughout the morning, as the sun comes out, you start to get a lot of that surface space cape start to creep back in, and that's where these storms could start to pull the centralized, I guess you could say, rotation down closer to the surface. So we got to keep an eye on it as the morning goes on. Freezing layer, by the way, right now about 14,000 feet. So anything above 14,000 feet is sufficient enough for large hail, which is the main hazard out there at the current time with both of these cells heading into Bergland. 14,000 to 30,000 feet is all in that freezing layer. So we're kind of seeing here on radar. Take another 3D scan here. Yeah, 31,000 feet on that So 14,000 to 31,000 feet, all in the freezing layer for the hail core. Back down to the south, we still do have decent rotation kind of over the Decatur area. It is now primarily southwest of town. We'll go ahead and switch over to the Indiana radar. It's a little bit closer at this current time. Just a tad. The reds and greens coming close together right now would be right on the southwest side of town, 46th Street near State Highway 51, it's M51, and Celery Center Road, heading to the vicinity of County Road 669, which is basically the county line. Eventually heading into northern Cass, which does have a statement on it for 40-mile-per-hour winds and half-inch hail. But another underlying issue right now with this severe thunderstorm warning is the lightning. I mean, if you take a look at the lightning barrage right now, it can't even see the word Decatur on radar. There's just so many lightning strikes around it. Even Marcellus is half cut off to the point where it just says Luss. That's it. So a lot of lightning in the cell, a lot of instability out there to be tapped into. And so these storms are continuing to exhibit severe capabilities this morning. For those who are curious, in the entire United States right now, there are 2 severe thunderstorm warnings and 4 special marine warnings. They are all located in Michigan. It is now 8:30. The warning has run out of time for northern Ontonagon County, northwestern Ontonagon County. It makes sense. Storm is still strong. If you're not in a warning right now, north of Berglund, there's still a strong thunderstorm in the area. Severe thunderstorm warning does remain in effect here until 9:30 Eastern for the new cell coming up in rear to the west, which is currently situated about 5 to 7 miles north of Bessemer at the current time, heading towards Berglund. How's that Berglund cam looking, Ryan?
It is pulled up whenever you would like.
Okay.
Looks like a lot of whale's mouth, but nothing too crazy yet. The storm is sitting pretty much just behind the camera. This camera is facing to the southeast.
There's a comment here, Ryan, kind of off topic real quick. Reaching out to us about advertising 30 different times over the last year. Never received replies. Is there a better way to contact you opposed to the web form? Probably just contact you directly, right?
For a camera or for a partnership as in a sponsor? Okay, hold on. Get in contact with me, I guess, Ryan at MichiganStormChasers.com. Send me an email. I'll look into it. Joel, I'm getting a little bit more concerned off the latest Velo scan by Decatur off of the IWX radar.
Hold that thought. We'll go down there in just a second after we read off this new warning.
Yeah, I see that too.
Can still elevate it up there, but it's also sitting in a reservoir of 1300 decape. Yeah, the very, very stable at the surface down there right now. So that is that mid-level rotation, very intense. Just to the north of Bessemer right now, as you guys can see on radar, the velocity colors here, reds and greens, are so bright and so tight together. Some data here at 11,900 feet off the ground of 115 mile-per-hour winds. Again, that's over 2 feet above the ground. So good news there is it's not close. Let's take a look at the Duluth radar.
I think you meant 2 miles. Did you not?
Did I say 2 feet?
You said 2 feet.
2 miles. It's early.
It's very early.
National Weather Service and Marquette has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Ontonagon County and western Upper Peninsula until 9:30 Eastern. At 8:32, a severe thunderstorm was located near Berglund, or 10 miles southeast of Porcupine Mountain State Park, moving east at 30. They're going with the baseline hazards of 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. It is radar indicated. Locations in this new severe thunderstorm warning include Porcupine Mountain State Park, Rockland, Bruce Crossing, Mass City, Norwich, White Pine, Trout Creek, and Victoria Dam. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Once again, 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. New severe thunderstorm warning here in Onondaga County. Yeah, thankfully not 2 feet off the ground. It would be blowing away for sure. Definitely elevated. You can see from 8,000 feet, it's a little bit more calming to the nerves, I guess you could say, north in Thomaston and Connerville. But that is now merging. All of these cells are kind of merging. This is likely the start of our main Boeing segment later today, but as I've mentioned here a couple times so far in the stream, that timing map we released last night, pretty much already outdated. We already had the Upper Peninsula for before 8 a.m. for this Boeing segment that's supposed to develop, and the Boeing segment hasn't really developed yet. And the storms are still kind of on Lake Superior and in the Western Upper Peninsula, so we're talking pushing this back by probably 2 to 3 hours. And that just goes to show you that these ring of fire situations are very fluid. And now we'll go ahead and check back down with the Decatur cell. Yeah, the rotation's still there. Looks like we're getting another surge on the west side of the storm for some perhaps 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now into Cass County primarily. No warning in effect for Cass County at the current time, but those wind gusts likely exceeding the 40-mile-per-hour threshold that is currently in effect for the special weather statement. Outage-wise right now, Van Buren County technically leads the way. Jackson County has the most outages, but it's likely not related to storm damage. So, Van Buren County, 219 outages. That's really it. Every other county here is not storm damage related. So, these winds are packing a punch for some locations here in the Decatur and Lawrence region. Primarily now south of Decatur, heading in towards Dowagiac, eventually south towards Cassopolis and Vandalia. We're still a little bit elevated right now, so yes, there is a little bit of rotation on radar in the Decatur area. But as the day goes on, these storms will become more surface-based.
I feel like that's like our 5th warning for Gogebic and Ontonagon County this morning.
Yeah. What are they going to do with this one? Curious to see where they put this box. Oh, it's the new cell. Okay. It's the new one in tow coming on shore right now. So there's just this whole cluster of cells at the current time moving in. National Weather Service in Marquette has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for north central Gogebic and west central Ontonagon counties until 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. At 8:37 Eastern, a severe thunderstorm was located 9 miles west of Porcupine Mountain State Park, moving southeast at... Moving southeast at 90 miles per hour?
No, I don't believe so.
Looping us back and forth. I mean, maybe? Yeah, I mean, the special marine warning says moving southeast at 70 knots. So, yes. I guess it's confirmed southeast movement at over 75 miles per hour. So that just took me back by surprise. Moving southeast at 90 miles per hour. Hazards here, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. That's, wow, okay. No, surface-based storms would be stronger, by the way. It's tapping into the full capabilities of the storm, or of the instability in the atmosphere. So we do not want these storms to be surface-based. Otherwise, rotation could turn into tornadoes. Back to the warning, though. It is radar indicated. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Wind damage to roof siding and trees also possible. Locations in this new severe thunderstorm warning include Porcupine Mountain State Park and Mirror Lake. Once again, that's 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds moving into portions of Ontonagon and Gogebic County at 90 miles per hour. 90. 9-0, not 19. Once again, if you're in Porcupine Mountain State Park, I told you guys this about 10 minutes ago. You know, your first cells just came through, you guys got impacted, probably picking up the pieces from the damage maybe, and now we have more storms in tow. We even have the strong thunderstorm up to the north. Ryan, I would not be surprised if they issue a 4th severe thunderstorm warning here for Ontonagon area for this cell that's moving on shore.
I was thinking the exact same thing. That's kind of crazy. We have 4 warnings in effect for the exact same county.
Yeah. I mean, taking a look at velocity from Marquette, at least, there's a decent area of outbound or inbound winds towards the lakeshore vicinity. That would be the rest of Porcupine Mountain State Park. Again, low to no service out there. Speaking from experience, if you know anybody in Porcupine Mountain State Park area that's been out there camping, again, they've made it through round 1, maybe even round 2, and now they got round 3 and 4 in tow. It's basically just trying to survive out there at the current time, especially given the circumstances of really not a whole lot in the way of substantial shelter to take shelter in. Again, those bathrooms that they have at the campsites, they are in some cases rooted to the ground, so it is substantial shelter. You're kind of limited on your options, so just kind of look around, maybe find a ditch, vehicle, really anything. Just don't be in a tent. It's not a great place to be out in a thunderstorm like this. You could blow away, or if a tree falls, again, tent's not going to provide much protection. So, really, just thankfully, there's not much in the way of tornadic development possible in these storms. So, we can kind of advertise the car taking shelter in a car thing a little bit better. But again, initially, you do want to be in substantial shelter. You do want to be in a bathhouse or an office or some sort of business that does have a safe room you can go into, whether that's, a walk-in cooler or a bathroom or some sort of interior janitor's closet or something. Just don't want to be outside with these storms coming through. There we go. Saw that one coming. It's the exact spot we figured. Makes sense, though. Again, this is going to be the rest of Ontonagon County. National Weather Service in Marquette has issued the severe thunderstorm warning for northern Ontonagon County until 9:45 Eastern. At 8:41 Eastern, a severe thunderstorm was located near Silver City or near Porcupine Mountain State Park, moving southeast at 60 miles per hour. Hazards are 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, that's 6-0, and quarter-sized hail. Radar indicated is the source. Once again, the impact is hail damage to vehicles as expected. Wind damage to roof siding and trees also probable, with locations being Ontonagon, Porcupine Mountain State Park, Silver City, Greenland, and Lake of the Clouds. Threats, once again, 1-inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, moving to the southeast at 60 miles per hour. Yes, in the pro version of the app, yes, there is velocity data. Go ahead, Ryan.
Grand Rapids has canceled the severe warning for Van Buren County, so we are appearing to be all clear there.
Okay. Statement likely continues into Cass and St. Joseph, I would imagine. The National Weather Service in Marquette has confirmed via the DNR quarter-sized hail at Porcupine Mountain State Park.
Bergland Cam is getting a little bit gusty as well. Not too terrible, but you can tell the trees in the distance are swaying back and forth.
That hail report, by the way, was from 12:06. So that was that first cell that came on shore that had the considerable warning eventually. So yes, there are, your eyes don't deceive you, that's 4 severe thunderstorm warnings covering portions of 2 counties.
Joel, the wind's
in the
picking
upper
up
peninsula.
further here in Berkland as well. These trees are really starting to sway back and forth. So definitely some gusty winds mixed into the ground. If they're not severe, they're definitely strong. This camera is located just a little bit south and west of Bergland on the map. But for sure, some pretty gusty winds within this line.
Updating the warning for the southernmost severe thunderstorm warning here in a second. Large hail possible and 34 knots of wind. New special marine warning. That's going to be the cell right here. In the edge of Gogebic and Onondaga County state line. Let me go back to my radar so you guys can see it. No major cities out in this area, but there are a couple campgrounds. The Prescott Eel Rustic Campground, which I've camped at before, is right in underneath this one storm right now. And I think the only shelter there, if I recall, was the restrooms at that campground. So that will be your place to be if you're out there camping in that spot. If you're in any other surrounding areas in any of these orange polygons, that's going to be kind of your same safe spot. Any sort of substantial shelter is going to be better than being out in the elements at the current time. Right, at some point.
Also,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to go a bit off topic. If you guys have not downloaded our Michigan Storm Chasers app on the Apple Store, now is your time to do so ahead of today's severe weather. You can report weather to us within the app, and we would appreciate it if everybody started using that instead of messaging us on Facebook or comment sections. The app is the most efficient way to report weather to us at the current time. So if you're an Apple user, would highly recommend and suggest to go download that this morning while you have a chance. For Android users, we're still pending on the Google Play Store. Hopefully it's soon, but we are still in review.
Yeah. Out of our control, kind of. So. New warning. Definitely well deserving of it. That pocket of wind is still there. National Weather Service in northern Indiana has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for eastern Cass and southwestern St. Joseph counties, both in southern Michigan, until 9:30 Eastern. At 8:47 Eastern, a severe thunderstorm was located near Cassopolis or near Dowagiac, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. Hazard, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. It is radar indicated. Locations in the severe thunderstorm warning include Dowagiac, Cassopolis, White Pigeon, Union, Penn, Mottville, Vandalia, LaGrange, Paradise Lake, Kelvin Center, Adamsville, Juneau Lake, Donnell Lake, Jones, Diamond Lake, Shavehead Lake, Wakili Lake, sorry, no, it's just Wakili, and Eagle Lake. Special text, large hail, damaging wind, and continuous cloud-to-ground lightning are occurring with the storm. Move indoors immediately. Lightning is one of nature's leading killers. Remember, if you do hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. Also, torrential rainfall is occurring with the storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Once again, threats. Penny-sized hail of 0.75 inches in diameter and wind gusts up to 60. And on velocity radar, you can see that pulse of wind heading straight to the southeast. If I loop it and rock it back and forth here, that is traveling right on down Decatur Road, about to cross over Shurt Street. It's spelled S-H-U-R-T-E. Sounds like you could pronounce it like shirt. but I'm probably incorrect. Whatever that street is along Decatur Road, it's going to be passing right into the Cassopolis and Vandalia area. So, again, you do want to be in shelter, in most interior room from or away from any of those trees that could be falling on your property. So, as you can see here, if I zoom out, also a lot of lightning out there. You do not want to be outside underneath any sort of tall objects when it comes to these storms moving through, because lightning is going to be striking down at rates of probably over a couple dozen strikes per minute in some cases out there. But for the most part, we're getting around a dozen, 2 dozen strikes per minute. It's quite incredible on that storm. So keep an eye on it. That warning, by the way, in effect for another 39 minutes, expiring at 9:30. Boy, this is just a mess of cells up here. If you're anywhere in Ontonagon County and northern Cogebanque County right now, it's just hail cores everywhere and wind cores everywhere. It just really makes it difficult to kind of go location by location. But Ryan, I was, before the severe thunderstorm warning came in, I was going to say, at some point I do need to kind of fuel up here.
Yeah, go ahead and do that now because I got approximately an hour to kill here before I gotta jump out. So feel free to hop out. I will share my radar. Give me a second to bring that in.
Yep.
And I'll get you covered here in just a second.
Okay. Yes, out-of-state weather services can put watches and warnings on other states. Like if, for example, the National Service Marquette went down, they weren't able to issue warnings, then a nearby weather service would jump in, like Minneapolis or probably La Crosse, something that's maybe not going to get their own storms at least to start the day, or perhaps even further back here to the west, like Fargo, North Dakota or something. So yes, they can step in if needed for another National Weather Service office. The correct pronunciation is Ontonagon. The pronunciation in chat here that was just typed is incorrect. It is not Ontonagon. That is so incorrect.
That is what I said when we first saw the word 3 years ago for the first time ever doing coverage.
Yep.
I believe I butchered that, and we learned very quickly.
Yep, it's Ontonagon.
I am set up ready to go here, Joel, just FYI.
Gotcha. Looks like there might be a new wind surge heading down south towards Marinisco. I'd be keeping an eye on with that. Also merging cells too. So it's just, as this day continues to get more surface space, you gotta watch that a little bit closer. So I'll go ahead and take your radar, and I'll probably be back in probably 10 or so.
Sounds good. So I got you guys covered here for the rest of the way. Not rest of the way. Next couple of minutes at least, while Joel gets some fuel in him for the day ahead. It's probably going to be a long day for us here. Looks like we have a new statement coming in, perhaps, or a discussion. Yeah, discussion looks like coming in. They're going to issue an MD out ahead of the Southern Michigan cell for this Cassopolis cell, basically saying that there is a 40% chance of a watch issuance for northern Indiana primarily, but it's going to be for wind and hail. Speaking of wind and hail, the current severe warning in effect here for Cass County, as well as the southwestern part of St. Joseph County. The velocity on this looks like the worst of the wind is by Cassopolis, Penn, just to the east of Dowagiac and Vandalia. Looks like it's going to be a downburst there. Hail tracker, if any hail's falling directly over the town of Penn and Vandalia. So take heed of that. The warning does extend down toward White Pigeon, Mottville, and as well as US 12 here, just to the east of Edwardsburg. We also have a secondary cell back here between Keeler and Dowagiac. So we'll have to watch that one as well. Going back further north here, taking the Grand Rapids radar, a lot of showers lighter in nature across the Grand Rapids Metro, Muskegon, Ashland, Fremont area. These are not severe. Also up here by Ludington, Pentwater areas. Some lightning on these, but again, not seeing anything that stands out to me on the severity. Just to be garden variety for now. Gaylord radar clear up here for now. We have some storms offshore of Alpena, Presqu'Île, but either way, the northern part of Lower Michigan is clear. And obviously, our main concern currently is the UP. We have some garden variety storms in Marquette County, but our concern is Gogebic as well as Ontonagon counties. I will also mention that we could probably see some flooding within these two counties as well, just because there's been a lot of rain, heavy rain at that, over the past about 90 minutes or so. So don't be shocked to see a couple of flood advisories, maybe a flash flood warning if we have more rain here. But the main concern here within this conglomerate mess is going to be damaging wind. It's going to be hard for us to get a good look at these storms based off of the radar sites being so far away. But right now, our main concern here is going to be damaging wind here. It looks like a couple areas near Berglund perhaps could be gusting. We have a couple brighter purple cores on these storms as well that may also indicate we could have some hail falling within these storms as well. In fact, we had a report of 1-inch hail back here near the DNR. The DNR reported it just to the west of White Pine. So we are going to probably be live. Hopefully we get a break here. I don't want to be live all day long, but we have to. But what's coming later on today may be more significant than what's happening now. We're expecting what's happening currently in the UP to continue on its southeast trek. And with time, this will finally reach the Traverse City, Ludington area, somewhere over here in northwestern Lower, sometime around or just after noon. So like noon to 2 o'clock or so. And that line on current models is shown to be quite potent in nature. And that may produce damaging wind upwards of 60, perhaps as high as 80, maybe a bit higher in the worst case scenario. But between 60 and 80 mile per hour winds are possible if that line does in fact take shape. But there is still some uncertainty with how that all evolves. So stick with us. It's one of those days we have to, what I call nowcast instead of forecast, because the overall uncertainty is definitely there. And we can't say with certainty that any one solution to the model is going to happen today. We have a guess, but we don't know. Checking out the hail tracker up here. There's definitely some stronger cores. The purple, reds, pinks, purples. That's going to be your perhaps larger hail falling just north of Marininsko, east of Wakefield, east-northeast of Bessemer, along M28 here on the Ontonagon and Gogebic County line. These storms are moving to the east-southeast. The text of the warning does say at 35 miles per hour. Places downstream, we're looking at Watersmeet here shortly. Iron River in the path of this. Crystal Falls, Amasa is what it's called. Yeah, I recall that from last stream. So Watersmeet cameras would be ones on deck for these storms. We have the casino cam, courtesy of Northern Waters Casino Resort. We also have the LVD bar and grill cam to pull up as well. Both of those cameras do not currently have a good look at it, but they will here as the storm passes over. I would say the current chance right now with any storm for tornadoes is quite low in nature. That will change as the day goes on, as storms become more surface-based. Right now, we do expect a lot of these storms to be elevated in nature, meaning that they don't really have much tornado rotation potential. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. The worst of the Cass County cell is now over Vandalia, M60 here, moving southeast toward Mottville and US 12 here along Birch Road and Union Road, just west of Fabius and our office in Three Rivers. East side of the state, you guys have 0 on radar. So for the time being, if you live in this circled area, breathe a sigh of relief. You have nothing to worry about for the short term. I would be more concerned later on today, closer and after 1 or 2 o'clock for you guys over in Southeast Michigan. There is a nice hail core taking shape here along M64 south of Berglund. Could be some pretty large hail falling here just north of Marininsko. This is heading right along M64, going to cross US 2 here, probably somewhere along the Thayer Road area, also known as 527. That general region is going to be impacted if that core continues. Could not be shocked to see some bigger hail falling in there. I'm going to pull up our MSC Pro to see what the storm risk is saying on this. Just out of curiosity, of course. If you guys do have the MSC Pro on desktop, you can access, and also your phone, you can access the storm risk. It's saying there is a 63% chance that this storm up here in the Berglund area is severe. The leading hazard is hail at 43%, followed by wind at 28%, and a tornado at 5%. So that's your current risk on this storm. So, pretty good chance we have severe hail falling within this storm. They went ahead and trimmed back the warning down here in Cass County for probably eliminating the Vinolia area. Or I probably butchered that. I'm looking at it. I can hear it in my head, but I can't pronounce it. I can't form words. But anyway, this, you know what I'm talking about. This V word town right here. So it continues for Vandalia, Cassopolis. Going to head toward Mottville here. There's your trim back, and there's a very shortened warning. This continues down here for about a half hour longer. The SPC has continued the enhanced risk for southern and central Michigan. I will check that out behind the scenes to get an idea. But looks like they didn't do much in the way of any change with that. I'll have to see the individual hazards as well. So again, if this is your early heads up, if you live in Watersmeet, this storm on the core is heading right for you guys there. So hopefully it weakens. However, I don't think that's going to happen. Checking on the new update here by the SPC. Yeah, pretty much no change on the overall outlook of things. In fact, there is 0 change whatsoever. There's no change with the placement of it, at least. Let's see about the hazards. Have not yet loaded the hazards yet. Yeah, velocity is just going to be kind of a mess here because Marquette's radar to this location is probably about 9,000 feet, perhaps 10,000 feet. I would expect there to be some pretty gusty winds mixed in within this conglomerate mess, but I really can't tell you guys where that's happening. So it's basically the entire warning areas. Another thing here, there's currently 4 separate warnings in effect here for Ontonagon County, which is crazy. There's one polygon here, there's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. That is kind of crazy. All separate warnings. The look on this from Duluth radar, look at that hail core. That is not good. Where is my GR2 product? There it is. Pull that in. I am curious what our GR2 marker is going to show on this. says 1.34, oh, sorry, 2 inches in diameter there off the Marquette radar. Off of the Duluth radar, 2.31 inches. So they're saying the hail size on this, according to radar, could be close to lime size in nature. Taking a peek down further south here for Cass County again. This storm continues. Also watching the Dowagiac cell. That has a some lightning pickup on it, so it could have a intensification happening there. Looking on the GR2 product, the hail marker size on these storms, not really too much of a concern there. I think the main concern here will still be damaging wind. There was a better signature back here near Penn and Cassopolis for wind. And that's since weakened as it got closer to the radar here. So hopefully this warning's on the downtrend there. We'll watch that Dowagiac cell just in case. Also, for those of you watching and waiting here from the West Michigan area, these look garden variety in nature. There is a little bit of elevated velocity here by Ferry. I'm not sure if that's something to be concerned about here. It may be a little bit gusty here in the Ferry area, just west of Hesperia. Nothing too crazy going on there, though. These look more so garden variety in nature. I got our LVD bar and grill cam pulled up here behind the scenes, waiting to tape that if need be. So a little fun fact here while we wait for the new scan to come in. Our MSC app on Apple has been downloaded 43,750 times. That is insane for one platform. That is insane. Good morning from Boyne City, says Ashley. Well, good morning, Ashley. Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, if you guys haven't yet, go download it. It's on the App Store. On YouTube side, our mods can link it, I believe, in chat. So that's an easier way if you want to just click a direct link. But yeah, it is out there for Apple users. Unfortunately, not for Android yet. But again, hoping any second, any day. It remains in review from Google Play. Take a peek down here back in South Michigan for you guys here in Cass County. Yeah, this storm appears to kind of be on its way out. There could be some gustier winds here in the Vandalia area. I don't see too much here that stands out to me at the current moment, though. Still, the severe warning remains in effect for 20 more minutes for the central part of Cass, very far southwestern corner of St. Joe. So we have a couple storms popping up here in the Marquette area as well. Garden variety in nature, but if you're in the Ishpeming, Negaunee, Marquette, Harvey, just some garden variety storms popping up there, moving through. We are down to now 2 warnings in effect here. They both expire in 20 minutes. So at 9:30, I don't think this is going to be the case, but there is potential here at 9:30. It could be severe clear. So cross your fingers. But with this storm up in the UP, I would anticipate a downstream warning to be issued here for Watersmeet area. This is going to follow very closely along US 2 and still heading right in toward Watersmeet with the core of this storm. So this is a very serious storm with a lot of lightning, a lot of heavy rain, probably some wind within it, and also some embedded larger hail. Oh, Joel's back. Scared me.
Boo.
Ah.
Whew. Well, we're down to what, 2 warnings now?
1 warning now. They just canceled the northern one.
Well, in the state total.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah, 2 in the state. I got you. And they just dropped that northern Ontonagon warning. So it's just 1 warning up there. Went from 4 down to 1. It's going to be in effect here primarily for the area south of Matchwood and Ewan, north and east of Marininsko, heading into Watersmeet. I would not be shocked if they issue another warning here for the Watersmeet area, or at very least a statement.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the app is not yet available for Android users. For those who missed the many posts we've had on our page the last couple of days.
No change to day 1 outlook, by the way. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Yep.
But 9 o'clock is unchanged.
Mm-hmm. Severe thunderstorm warning has been trimmed from the southern storms. Looks like St. Joseph no longer in the warning continues for Cass.
I'm about to look up how to pronounce that V town north of Penn. I butchered it earlier. I bet I did.
Someone says it's Volenia.
Volenia.
Okay. Oh. There you go.
Volenia. Okay. How fast is the cell moving in the north going to be traveling down straight from Baraga? It's going to take a while to reach downstate, and that's if it does. We expect it to. I think Joel and I are kind of on the same thought process. This is probably going to be coming toward us here in the Lower Peninsula later on today. So to kind of keep an eye on that and track it. Right now, the warning text does say $0.5 size hail and less than 50 mile per hour winds moving southeast at 40 miles per hour. There's your new warning for Gogebic. That was expected.
Mm-hmm.
I got that, Joel. I can get it.
Okay. Jennifer, if you're asking about the warnings on the radar map being removed, yes, you can remove them. There's a button that says that toggles the alerts. If you're on the free version of the app, I think it's just an exclamation point button. If you're in the pro version of the radar, there's an actual button that's labeled alerts, and you can just toggle that on and off if that's what you're truly asking.
You'll find that on the free version on the right side of your screen. I believe it's a caution placard or exclamation point.
Yeah. New warning coming in now. Shown here on the screen, looks like a elongated trapezoid. National Weather
Ping
Service.
pong ball size hail with that.
Yeah, National Weather Service in Marquez issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Gogebic County until 9 a.m. Central Time. Remind you, this is in Central, not Eastern. 8:14 Central, a severe thunderstorm was located 11 miles east of Marinisco, or 29 miles north of Eagle River, moving southeast at 50 miles per hour. As Ryan mentioned, ping pong ball size hail, as well as 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible with the storm. Source is radar indicated. Locations impacted include Marinisco, Thousand Island Lake, Presque Isle Reservoir, and Pomeroy Lake. Tree protection moved to the interior room of the lowest floor in a building. Once again, hail size, 1.5 inches in diameter and 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is, if I zoom in here, this really, it's just this entire cluster. It's kind of congealing into one, not really a major spot, it's just kind of the entire thing. You can take a look at correlation coefficient radar, which, as a reminder, denotes where things in the atmosphere are tumbling around that are jagged but still meteorological in nature. So that would show up as yellows, oranges, and greens, and sometimes even blues. And that's basically this entire centralized portion of the cell. Anything in purple surrounding it would be just normal rain, because rain is more circular in nature. So circular precipitation in the purplish color. Anything really orange, yellow, green, and even some blue is your jagged precipitation moving around the atmosphere, which is, of course, hail. As you guys know, it's very bumpy, sometimes has spikes on it. And that is moving in through the US 2 corridor right now between Marinisco and Watersmeet. The updated severe weather outlook was posted last night, Andy. It was a special update at like 11:30 p.m. So feel free to scroll back on our page and check it out. That might be worth a reshare this morning.
On it.
I would just honestly just share the post from last night. Quote share, I guess it was what you would call it. We do realize some stuff gets buried, and sometimes you guys don't seek out our page directly, but as a reminder, our posts, if you haven't seeked out our page, should. Feel free to do that. That way you're always in the loop, especially on severe weather days when there's a lot of information going up on our page. You know, there's, for example, this morning we've had probably 8 severe thunderstorm warnings in Onondaga and Gogebic County alone. And again, that pushed all of our posts from last night further and further back. So feel free to check out our posts on our page. Facebook, all our information's there. However, we understand it might be a lot. And so checking out our specific forecasts on, usually Instagram is going to be best for just our specific posts for our forecasts, because you don't get all the severe thunderstorm warnings that get posted on Instagram. They always get posted on Facebook. So ease of access, I guess, would be Instagram in this case, or X. X is a little bit better. But again, if you want every single detail, Facebook is going to be the place to be. At some point, by the way, for those who have downloaded our Michigan Storm Chasers app, which came out about 5 days ago now, we are at some point in one of our first major updates going to be including our Facebook Facebook feed in the app. And so that way you can kind of just see the posts as they roll in directly in the app instead of going onto Facebook. So that, and of course the new app will at some point also have notifications and stream right in the app when we go live here at MSC. So it'll just pretty much post our YouTube stream right in the app. So that way you don't have to go on to Google and watch it via YouTube there or other ways. It's quite the region of wind there that just opened up. Wow. Right on the Michigan-Wisconsin state line. These reds and greens coming close together right there. Obviously, wow. I mean, look at it. Storm relative velocity is incredible. 316 at 41. Let me make sure this is better data. Okay, yeah, that's don't want to see that, but quite the entrance of wind here, right in the Presque Isle, Wisconsin region. Now, here's the thing: is Presque Isle is also pronounced Presque Isle. Just depends on where in each state. So, for example, in Michigan, we have Presque Isle or Grosse Ile. We pronounce all our isles eel in Michigan, but I don't know if it's the same for Wisconsin. So it could be Presque Isle over there in Wisconsin. But south of Miranisco, heading towards Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, and Watersmeet, very strong winds within this likely very large, expansive hail core that is across the region at the current time. Just really impressive. Yeah, the hail core is up around 40,000 feet, by the way. So that is, I mean, right now the freezing layer, if I can get an updated scan here, freezing layer is just about 15,000 feet up. So between 15,000 and 40,000 feet, these larger rain droplets are turning into super cool liquid, and that's just allowing for a lot of hail to likely be falling over this area right now. And just the velocity on this as well is very impressive in terms of the wind. This could be the start of our Boeing segment. We'll see, though. It's got to kind of get its act together a little bit more, though. But I'm seeing strengthening winds here, Ryan, on radar in the velocity scans in the center of the updraft, too.
Also, keeping a close eye on latest guidance as well from 12Z, it shows a pretty nasty squall line from north to south across much of lower Michigan today. From 2 p.m. to north, clearing the state by 9 p.m. So timing has really pushed itself back today, if this model is correct.
Yeah. So if you do see our timing map from last night, just keep that in mind. That was posted last night with old model data. And with these Ring of Fire setups, things change within 6 hours time. So the entire state is at some capacity to see severe weather today. The odds, of course, are just a little bit greater in the areas that do have a level 3 or level 4 risk, which is the yellow and orange zone. If you see our severe weather outlook from last night, keep that in mind. This might be a little bit closer to the Marquette radar now. It's kind of right in that middle zone, right in that. Yeah, that's supersets. I mean, that's right now a big supercell. Elevated. We're getting closer to becoming surface based, by the way.
Yeah, Joel, when I was looking at the models yesterday, we had a lot of surface fuel in the morning hours here across lower Michigan too, but up there as well. It's not going to take much to get these storms tapped into the surface.
Yeah.
Also, I do have the LVD bar and grill cam pulled up in Watersmeet as the storm approaches. So if you want to take that at will, feel free. That's what's actually I lied. Now it's sharing. I was on the wrong screen, but now it's sharing. You can take it whenever you want to.
There we go. Yeah, that's a good point. As you mentioned, we pushed these storms back a couple hours. That's more daytime heating available to, get more fuel into the atmosphere. On top of the fact that it's already humid and hot out there, we already have a lot of fuel that's kind of just stayed with us overnight. Didn't really fade out overnight per se. We call it mixed layer CAPE, and even just most unstable CAPE. It is moisture. I mean, yeah, it is moisture, so that's kind of responsible for it. But eventually that will translate down to the surface as surface-based CAPE with time today. And again, when you get those surface-based storms, you got to think about it's all the way from the ground, which is 0 feet off the ground or 5 feet off the ground, all the way up to about 55,000 feet where these storms are getting up to the top of the troposphere. So that's a lot of fuel in the 55,000 feet that's going to be available. Whereas right now, these storms are still elevated. So it's really maybe 10,000 feet up to 55,000 feet. So it's only 45,000 feet instead of 55,000 feet of fuel available. It's still a lot, which is why we have severe thunderstorms out there right now in the Upper Peninsula. But you get those surface-based storms, also a little bit better rotation down at the surface, so those storms are able to tap into that low-level rotation. You could get these quick little spin-up tornadoes along this line of gusty winds. Now, today, the main hazard will be, once we get out of the supercellular mode, damaging winds. Still, we'll have these hail cores kind of here and there. They'll kind of pop up and pop down with, of course, embedded rotational signatures as well. So damaging winds will be the main hazard today, but hail and tornadoes cannot be ruled out. That's the way the atmosphere is playing out today. Yeah, storm top is 54,000 feet. Usually these stratospheric storms, these borderline stratospheric storms, by the way, those are the ones that can kind of just become their own MCSs here, which is why we are watching this storm very closely, because this is what would eventually turn into a Boeing segment. Again, there's a lot of fuel going into the storm right now, and it's also riding right on the instability gradient. It's riding right on the center of the jet streak. As mentioned last night, that jet streak is going to steer this line of storms. So if we want these storms to stay out of Michigan, we need that jet streak to kind of stay to the west. Keep these storms over Lake Michigan and points west. Sorry, Wisconsin. Nothing personal, but we do not want to deal with these storms today. We understand the threat that could be coming with these. However, again, the jet streak staying off to our west would keep most of the storm action to our west as well. Again, there's still a lot of northwest flow, no matter what, in Michigan, in Wisconsin, all around. The center of the jet streak is where you're going to get your strongest winds to kind of correlate with the storms that are directly underneath the center of the jet streak, which is why there is potential for anywhere from 60 to perhaps even upwards of 90-mile-per-hour winds possible today within this line of this Boeing segment that's expected to develop here at some point across northern Wisconsin and then move in towards West Michigan. Yes, that is a great question, Farmer. Taking a picture of your weather station screen is fine for reporting wind gusts. Yes, especially if you have like a Tempest weather station and an ambient weather station. Those things are fairly accurate, and the National Weather Service uses those very, very much all the time, honestly, for reporting wind gusts. So if you do have those, send them over. When you do send those over, feel free to put your weather station's identification number in it, or maybe just the lat longitude of your weather station. Anything does help when it comes to reporting these wind gusts. So yes, weather stations, photos of wind gusts that have happened at your weather stations are appreciated. The storm continues to just intensify, mostly on the Wisconsin side of the border, but still severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect here for portions of southern Gogebic County for another 31 minutes. 1.5-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible somewhere in this vicinity along and south of US 2 from Watersmeet and Lando Lakes and points west. That is going to be the US 45 area. We do have a camera right there at US 2 and US 45, courtesy of LVD Bar and Grill. So that's the major intersection right there in Watersmeet. Is looking to the south and southwest. Kind of into that storm a little bit. It's a little bit hazy out there as well. We're dealing with a little bit of elevated wildfire smoke out there. If you guys saw last night, the moon was nice and orange. And so was the sunset last night as well. So we had a little bit of elevated wildfire smoke from fires out in Oregon and Washington that made it all the way over here into the Michigan region. And so, yeah, orange skies out there, also a little bit hazy, and it's also hindering visibility a little bit out there today for some storm viewing. Not immensely, but it's something to watch. Also, just across the border, going to go back to my radar, considerable severe thunderstorm warning now upgraded for the Wisconsin side. Golf ball size hail is the hazard there. So if you're over in Vilas or Vilas County, also Oneida and Forest counties in Wisconsin, you have now a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for golf ball size hail, almost at 70-mile-per-hour winds. At some point, probably 70-mile-per-hour winds, but we're still dealing with a hail risk this morning. We do have other storms popping up kind of in scattered spots across the lower peninsula right now. We have a couple storms in Iosco and Alcona counties that are now popping up with a decent hail core on them. Those storms are heading kind of to the east, although they kind of the way the upper level winds are right now, these storms are getting sheared off straight to the south, but the movement is off to the east. So those storms are probably not going to survive too long. We'll see though. There's also just this region of kind of somewhat lighter rain throughout the West Michigan area, Mason, Oceana, Muskegon, up towards Kent. Go ahead.
Camera. Got the casino cam pulled up. It is gusty here. Just down the road from the LVD Bar and Grill. This is from the Northern Waters Casino Resort. The camera was shaking pretty good there. It still is shaking really good as the storm passes over the camera. Oh, there's actually not a warning on this particular area along US 45, just north of Watersmeet, unless my radar's glitched, but I don't see a warning on this. This is pretty intense wind.
Technically, no.
Yeah, those trees are going back and forth pretty good there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Camera's shaking. This is actually just up the road from LVD Bar and Grill. And you look at the Bar and Grill cam, there was nothing going on there a few seconds ago. Now it is. We'll probably see the exact same thing here. I kind of like the casino cam better for the time being, though.
Yeah. No golfing today. Well, I bet you there's probably still some golfers out there that, you know, they're out there every day, no matter what, in the summer. Well, if you're
Dedication.
out there, yeah, as I say, if you're out there golfing, not a good idea. You got to get back to the clubhouse. You can't be out in these types of severe storms today. Oh, I'll wait it out underneath a tree. Well, there's lightning out there. You don't want to be underneath the tree when lightning strikes. That's just a death wish. But the area in question right now, here's Watersmeet. That entire region of wind, such as across Gogebic County, pretty much all of eastern Gogebic County. And even like it's not even that impressive really in terms of velocity. Of course, it is really far away from the radar site in Marquette. Even the stronger velocities over here to the west, I mean, you're still seeing those winds gusting to at least 60 down here in Watersmeet, which, as a reminder, are not in a warning at the current time. So this cell is packing a punch even outside of the warning boundaries. So if that eastern edge continues off to the southeast, that would actually head towards Iron County, Iron River, and surrounding suburbs of Mineral Hills, Caspian, Stambaugh, and Gastra. No warning there yet, as mentioned, but still continuing down the US 2 corridor. This is pivoting a little bit. I mean, these pop-up cells are continuing to pull a little bit further south and east, but I mean, looking at this entire line does stretch across the Upper Peninsula. It doesn't look like much yet. But this area of precipitation could become your gusty winds later today, even though there's nothing in it yet. So this entire line that stretches from the severe thunderstorm warning in Watersmeet area over into the thunderstorms that are kind of just chilling across central Upper Peninsula, Rock to Trinary, Chatham over to Munising. That is our region to watch for storm development later today. As a reminder, there's only one severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Michigan right now. If the storm does continue to move out of Michigan, we actually could catch a break here, Ryan. I mean, knock on wood, of course, because at the current time, they might issue another severe thunderstorm warning here for portions of Iron and Gogebic. But looking at the rest of the storms in the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula, nothing's really near severe limits at the current time. But there are a couple strengthening cells in the Lower Peninsula we're watching, especially up there in Iosco and Alcona counties. This area of rain along the jet streak is just kind of rain at the current time. So no concerns there. A little bit of thunder and lightning kind of mixing in the Oceana County region. But for the most part, this is, at the current time, likely to stay timid over the next hour or so. Also, this line of rain, Ryan, is also allowing for a stable layer to develop. So this could also hinder severe development later on. So this is actually kind of good news across the area that we have rain here.
The wind is picking up there at LVD Bar and Grill, but not as strong as what we saw up at the casino. It's gusty, but trees in the background there are not moving much.
Can't really tell. It's so far away. So we still do have that thunderstorm moving through and out of Cass County. This storm will continue to move towards Elkhart, Goshen, Indiana. Not a concern for us. Getting rain moving in through West Michigan. A couple cells in Alcona and Iosco counties as we continue to move off to the southeast. They are blossoming. No concern at the current time. Also a very strong thunderstorm offshore Alpena. Does have a special marine warning on it for large hail and wind gusts of 34 knots. That storm should relatively remain offshore. Thankfully, too, because that is a training thunderstorm. And that would be resulting in flash flooding, but the lake is already hundreds of feet deep with water, so it's not going to make much of a difference. But yeah, very strong thunderstorm out there. If you know anyone boating on Lake Huron and want to be away from that storm. Otherwise, we just have that severe thunderstorm warning that we're kind of waiting to see expire before we kind of take a break here. Current time, 9:37 a.m. Eastern, 8:37 a.m. Central Time. If you're watching from Gogebic, Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee counties areas, obviously you guys are in Central Time Zone, so an hour behind Eastern Time. I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzma, alongside President of Operations Ryan below me, also our ASL translator Dawn. We're all in here serving you guys this morning. This is our Part 3 coverage already today. It's only 9:30 a.m. We might get to Part 4 or Part 5 by the time the day is done, depending on how the late morning to early afternoon hours evolve here across the Great Lakes region. We do have an enhanced risk in effect today from the Storm Prediction Center, and we have our own elevated risk in effect today. It's basically the orange risk that you see on those maps for damaging winds, primarily 60 to 90 miles per hour at any point later today. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say, I was watching the LBD Bar and Grill cam, and there was what I believe either to be lightning or a power flash, and the camera froze, and then we lost both Waters Meet cameras. The casino cam just came back. It is still gusty here, but I believe the LBD Bar and Grill may have lost power, whether via wind or a lightning strike, one of the two. The camera has reset itself. It says Thursday, December 1st, 2011.
So they had a power flash, yeah.
Yeah, that's we are living 15 years in the past, folks. Have to
Can
redo
confirm.
that. Hopefully it resets itself, but if not, we'll hop in there and reset that.
Can confirm we do now have 327 customers out of power in Gogebic County. That now is third place behind Van Buren and Jackson counties. Onondaga County,
Yeah,
44 outages.
And there is no warning for Waters Meet as well. The warning polygon stops about a mile or two south of town. So it's close. The county is under a warning, but the area being impacted by this is not warned.
Yeah.
If you live in western Iron County, I would be alert here along US 2 as well as 436, as this is likely some pretty strong, if not severe winds moving into your area that has had a history of being strong, but also producing power outages now. So western Iron County along US 2 and 436, which is also known as Federal Forest Highway 16, that's going to be where the worst of those winds are going to be at.
Also from storms earlier, outages reported in Cass County, 121 customers out there. Kalamazoo County, I think these were mostly pre-existing, about 129 customers out in Kalamazoo. So Van Buren, Kalamazoo, Cass have at least 120 outages each in them, with Van Buren leading the way at 394.
A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee counties.
Fair enough.
It's a short fused one in effect till 4 p.m. Primarily for northeastern Wisconsin.
A new severe thunderstorm watch has been issued.
Has been issued again. I have two of the same graphic. I don't know why I did that. It's weird. Severe thunderstorm watch means conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms to develop. They're not happening yet, but they could be happening in the next minutes to hours. Warning will designate whether or not the threat is real and happening. So again, severe thunderstorm watch in effect for portions of Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee counties till 4 p.m. It'll likely be done before then, but it's in Eastern time as well, so 3 p.m. Central. Again, Iron, Dickinson, Menominee counties, the hazards, they are listed as wind up to 70 miles per hour and hail size up to 1.5 inches in diameter. Wonder if the alerts have been updated yet. Nope. It's the old severe thunderstorm watch. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. So the severe thunderstorm watch that's currently out there expires in 18 minutes. Expires at 10 a.m. Eastern. And so this is kind of replacing the old severe thunderstorm watch. So portions of northeastern Wisconsin here have been in 2 severe thunderstorm watches this morning alone. But because the storms were pushed back in timing, according to the Storm Prediction Center, they probably thought the same thing. They thought it was going to come through a lot sooner, but they haven't even made it towards the Green Bay area here before 10 a.m. Eastern. So a little bit slower today. Nevertheless, they have reissued a severe thunderstorm watch for primarily northeastern Wisconsin. This is not updated yet. It was the old watch, but it says includes the same counties in northeastern Wisconsin, all the way over to Door County, down to Brown, Outagamie, Manitowoc counties, and Calumet counties. In the Wisconsin area, for Michigan, it's Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee, all in effect till 4 p.m. Eastern at the latest. Conditions are favorable for gusty winds up to 70 later on. The supercell of doom and despair continues across northern Wisconsin. If you are in Wisconsin right now, you need to be taking shelter from this thunderstorm. It's just across our border. If you're watching from northern Wisconsin, that is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. You do not want to take that lightly. That's 1.75 inch diameter hail possible and winds up to 60. If you're on the Michigan side of the border, there's no warning in effect. We keep mentioning this, but the US 2 corridor between Watersmeet and Iron River still has the chance of gusty winds. These brighter reds in here where there is still being wind, or we're still seeing wind firsthand at the surface mixing down to the ground. And so again, that would be right on NFS Road 3920 at US 2, heading down towards the US 2 corridor at Cemetery Road. So it's getting very close to the Iron River and Mineral Hills vicinity. Land O'Lakes. So we do have some people watching from Wisconsin in here, I think. Won't be the first time. If you're watching from Wisconsin, welcome in. If you're in Iron County, though, the storm is close enough to you where you want to be keeping an eye on it. And as mentioned, those gusty winds are in between Watersmeet and Iron River right now, even though there's no warning in effect here. You do want to be on alert. Again, I would eventually be heading towards Crystal Falls. We can continue off to more of the east instead of the southeast. So Iron County, that's why there's that severe thunderstorm watch in effect. They just issued that short term. Likely only going to be really in effect for the next 2 hours here as the cell that is currently primarily to the west and south of Iron County moves through. It's going to be kind of grazing Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee County as it continues off to the east. There's a chance that this also develops into a larger Boeing segment as this patch of precipitation is existing. It taps into more of that decay. This can turn into a line of gusty winds very quickly a day like today. Patch precipitation because I hear myself in Ryan's camera.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm trying to help out our moderators on the Facebook side, so I got to enter the stream.
Gotcha. Oh, we do have people watching from Wisconsin. Welcome in. Are these storms not supposed to hit Milwaukee? I think Milwaukee's still in that line of fire, especially if it has any sort of westward development as well. Again, if you look at the Storm Prediction Center map for the Great Lakes region, all of Wisconsin's also in a risk today. Now, if you don't get this morning Boeing segment, you're likely going to be dealing with the same fate as us here in Michigan, where we have a lot of instability out there today. At some point, with how much lift we have in the area with that jet streak overhead, it's going to be used up. It's just a matter of time. We have a lot of moisture out there, a lot of lift. Whether a Boeing segment comes through, whether we have pop-up storms all day, we just expect some sort of storms to develop throughout the Great Lakes region. And that's why we do have a statewide risk today. The timing, well, we tell you guys about the timing, and we did our best to give you guys a timing map last night. And this is why it's tough on these Ring of Fire setups. It's already running over 2 hours behind at the current time. So Upper Peninsula was supposed to be done with their action by 8 a.m. Moving into northwest lower between 8 and 10 a.m. And it is still way off here to the northwest. So welcome to the world of forecasting.
Joel, before I hop out of here, do you want me to put anything on the page as far as timing goes? Perhaps radar screenshots, something like that? It's kind of hard to say just because models are kind of all over the place. So I just want to know before I hop out of here, is there anything you need me to do?
All right. I don't know. Because again, I don't know how the day's honestly gonna shake out. Either way, as I mentioned though, I mean this fuel is going to be used up in some capacity. It just depends on what sort of storm mode is it going to be. So I would just say something along the lines of still a volatile atmosphere, still kind of waiting and seeing on what stuff to the north does.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, something along the lines of storm fuel will likely still be used no matter what, whether it's a damaging wind line or pop-up storms. This is definitely a nowcasting event.
Yep, I got you. All right, I'm going to hop out of here, guys. I have to do interviews with Chandler. We are hiring, so we have all day filled with interviews. But if things get wild later on, I'll be back in here to help. So Joel's got you as well as Dawn. I will see you all later. Thanks for tuning in. Joel's got you rest of the way.
See you, Ryan. Warning has been trimmed even more. It's just the Land O'Lakes area and places south of Watersmeet. 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail still remains in effect here for another 10 minutes, so expiring at the top of the hour. We'll wait and see what they do for any more extended warnings. We're going to go ahead and check out the storms also in the Elkona and Iosco area. These storms still have decent cells on them. GR2 software depicts perhaps upwards around penny-sized hail. It could be falling in both of these cells. And what's cool about radar is you can see multiple levels of the atmosphere on it. So if I go up in the atmosphere, you can kind of see how these storms are getting sheared off with those upper level winds. Those upper level winds today are cranking at probably 80 to 90 knots in some cases. And so those storms, they develop up, and those winds in the different levels of the atmosphere, they allow them to get sheared off. The tops of the clouds go flying off to the south, in this case today, mainly north to south movement at speeds of 100 miles per hour. So up at around 25,000, 30,000 feet, these clouds, these updrafts go up, and then you can just imagine, just like NASCAR, these just cloud just race off to the south. So that's what's happening with these cells right now in Elkona and Whitmore, or Elkona and Iosco County in the Whitmore and Glenny region. You can kind of see them on radar, how you have the centralized updraft, and then as you get higher up, these storms are getting sheared off to the south at incredible speeds. So another fun fact about radar there. As I mentioned, as I use the arrow keys to go higher up into the atmosphere, you can kind of see how those clouds are indeed getting sheared off to the south. So that's a very impressive storm. I'm very thankful that it's still on Lake Huron, but that is heading more south than east. Let's hope that it stays over the open waters, because I don't know if we could handle a southwest moving storm today, on top of just how much instability we have out there. So let's hope that just stays offshore and confined within that blue special marine warning box. We're very close to taking a break here, though. Again, we're going to take advantage of all the breaks we can get, because it could be a busy midday afternoon time frame here across the state. Got to be ready for anything that does come our way. This is part 3 coverage. We'll probably have part 4 later on. Since we are now pretty much out of the woods in terms of severe weather, again, gusty winds still moving down US 2 right now. No warning on it, but gusty winds are still happening. And check out those winds now in the Wisconsin area, 3 Lakes. That's a lot of blues on radar starting to mix in. That is likely the start of our Boeing segment later on. Let's continue to move off to the southeast. Shouting out Brianna W. for joining the team as a silver member. Ian N. joining the team as a bronze member. And Red Dozier with a $20 super chat this morning saying that big old batch of nonsense did the splits and went around me again. Sidewalks in Allegan are hardly wet. Sorry to hear that, Red, but I'm sure you guys will get more rain or later on today. We saw that jet streak kind of over your area, so fingers crossed. However, we do not want the wind. So thank you as always for your support. Also, Judah sending 4 batches of joules. We have Downriver, 30 joules, and Jake R, 1,000 joules over here on YouTube. Thank you guys for your support. Also, if you're watching on Facebook right now, I believe we have a character limit or character minimum in place right now, or something of the sorts. So if you're not able to chat, it's because we have certain restrictions in place this morning. So feel free to hop over here on YouTube and check out the stream. Also, as a reminder, if you guys haven't downloaded our MSC app yet, today is a great day to do so. Our outstanding feature in our app will be by far the reporting feature, where you can take a picture straight in the app and it'll submit right to our staff here at MSC. Also, disclaimer, before you go ahead and jump off the stream here, it is on Apple only right now. Android, Google Play, it's in their hands right now. We have submitted it to them. We submitted it to them almost 2 weeks ago now. They sat on it for 10 days, rejected it. They told us to fix a couple things. We did. It's back in the review room, I guess you could say right now. So we'll let you guys know as soon as we can if we do hear anything today about the Google Play approval of our app. But at the current time, nothing yet for Google Play users. If you are on iPhone or iPad, iOS users, you guys do have access to the MSC app, so feel free to utilize that today. Once again, search Michigan Storm Chasers on the Apple App Store. If we loop it here, this line is still heading southeast. If I could draw a line, it is still heading kind of towards, if we continue it off to the southeast, towards Manistee and Mason counties later on. If there's any sort of eastward extension, this is going to hit pretty much Benzie, Leelanau, Traverse City, or Benzie, Leelanau, Grand Traverse, Wexford counties as well. Even upwards towards Kalkaska and Antrim counties as well. However, right now it would really have to get its act together in the next hour or two in order to get that extension to the east. So for the most part, I think eastern upper peninsula and extreme northeastern lower should be in the clear from this first batch. However, as this line moves through later on, we'll have redevelopment of the fuel later on today in the peak heating hours. And so we could see another couple pop-up thunderstorms later on across the M28 region in the Newberry area and perhaps northeast lower. So you may not get impacted up here in northeast lower and eastern upper peninsula this morning into early afternoon. But again, we'll have fuel around all day today, a lot of heat out there. So you do want to be prepared. That's why we do have a severe risk in effect for pretty much the entire state for the rest of the day. Correct. It is not in the App Store for Android, as mentioned multiple times. It is not on Android yet. They are still reviewing it. It is only on Apple at the current time. As a reminder, the entire state is in a severe risk for the day today. If you guys are in any sort of severe risk, which is the entire state, yes, you are at risk for storms later today to become severe. It doesn't mean everyone is going to get severe weather, but you should still be on alert. This is going to be, if this Boeing segment is currently tracked to move through the state, it'll be between now and 6 p.m. tonight. It's a slow mover. It's about 2 to 3 hours behind schedule at the current time. So that 8 to 10 range I was up here in northern Michigan, it's going to be more like 10 to 12, maybe even closer to the 11 to 1 o'clock time frame. Even down here into West Michigan, that's going to be closer to the mid-afternoon hours at this point. So that's honestly not great news for us because if you guys think about it, the heat out there, the sun's going to come out. That's going to be more fuel for these storms to use up later today. So we wanted these storms to move through earlier on. But at this point, with these storms moving so slow and the fuel continuing to build throughout the morning hours here, it's just going to be like a powder keg sort of ordeal for later today. We already have supercell composites of 6 to 12 across the lower peninsula, which is impressive as it is. Again, supercells are not the main storm type today, but if we do get supercells this morning, they could be pretty significant in nature. But this is a day where we need to be watching across the entire state. Right now in the lower peninsula, you guys are good for now. The severe weather right now is in the upper peninsula, scooting along the Michigan-Wisconsin border. In the afternoon hours primarily, this is where you need to start watching for development here in the lower peninsula. So enjoy the rest of your morning for now. Keep an eye on the radar. That's why you have the Michigan Storm Chasers app at your disposal, whether you download the free version. There's also the pro version for Pro Radar if you want tools like Velocity Radar, Correlation Coefficient Radar, which is kind of what we use here at MSC during the streams. Velocity Radar is your wind radar. Correlation Coefficient is your debris tracker or hail tracker in some cases. You also have, I think, spectrum width if you're a fan of professional radar, ZDR radar as well. I think that's all in the pro version. So if you want to upgrade, so highly recommended if you are interested in those radars. If you just want the free version, just feel free to get it. It's better than nothing. Utilize it today. Also, all alerts will show in the app. You can also toggle them on and off if you want or if you want to. And you can also toggle on and off as many locations as you want to track. So they won't show up on the map, your locations to track. That might be a future feature, but you can put as many locations in your app as you want. So that way you can track different alerts for different locations across the state. So if you have family, if you live in like Cadillac, for example, we have family down in Saginaw or down in Grand Rapids, you can put in custom locations in the MSC app that you can track for alerts. So highly recommend. We thought we were going to get out of this severe weather coverage here a little bit sooner, but the cells in eastern lower Michigan have had other plans here. So new severe thunderstorm warning coming in. We'll get the details here in just a second. There we go. There's the orange box. National Weather Service in Gaylord has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Elkona and northeastern Iosco County until 10:45 a.m. At 9:57, a severe thunderstorm was located over Mikado. Sorry, that's Mikado, or 7 miles southwest of Harrisville. Moving east at 30 miles per hour, they're going to baseline of 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Radar indicated impact here is going to be hail damage to vehicles as possible, with wind damage through standing trees also possible. Timing-wise, Harrisville State Park and Wurtsmith Airfield around 10:05 a.m. Another location impacted by this severe thunderstorm warning includes Wilbur. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Once again, that's hail of 1 inch in diameter and maximum wind gusts up to 60. Also, supportive special marine warning has also been issued in the blue box here. If you're out boating offshore from Iosco and Alcona counties, you do want to be advised to take shelter in safe harbor until this line of storms does go away. And that could be a decent hail core right now over Mankato. Take a look at the correlation coefficient right there. There's a decent patch of yellows, oranges, and greens mixing in here right over East Mankato Road and Coville Road. And it's heading towards the US 23 corridor just to the south of Harrisville at the current time. Harrisville, you are not in the warning, but if you drive a half mile south of town, you would be in that warning as the storm moves towards Lake Huron. Also decent wind pocket there in that same area I mentioned of Mankato and Coville Road. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure it's like M-Y, and then Cato. If I recall, if I remember seeing the comments in chat, I think that's how it's pronounced. This is a short fused warning. It's in effect, it says for 42 minutes, but I believe this storm is going to be onto Lake Huron within the next 15. So this warning will probably expire around 10:20, I would imagine. So for now, if you are in this line from Mankato down to Oscoda, you need to be in shelter, avoiding the wind and the hail. And you guys may be asking, why is the warning all the way down to Oscoda? It doesn't look that impressive on radar here. As a reminder, these storms are getting sheared off straight to the south with those upper level winds today. Again, those winds up around 25,000 feet or so, they're screaming to the south at speeds of 90, 100, 110 miles per hour. And so these updrafts go up. And then as those updrafts go up, the positive buoyancy also takes them into that jet stream that shears them way off to the south. So you imagine all that hail that's getting built up in the updraft suddenly gets caught up also in that 90 to 100 mile per hour winds up there. All of a sudden that hail is getting carried along the jet stream and getting dumped out away from the main centralized updraft, which is currently over Mankato. But you can see the centralized updraft here, it's getting sheared off all the way down south to Oscoda and even into Lake Huron here, very close to Tawas City. And so that's why this warning does extend south. So it's kind of an odd shaped severe thunderstorm warning, but it's definitely warranted for our jet streak that is over the area. So keep that in mind. It does not look impressive on radar in Oscoda, but you could still be dealing with 1-inch hailstones that are coming from the centralized updraft all the way up to the north in Mankato. Okay, so it is Mankato. Thank you. There, in the comments here, someone says tomato, tomato, Mikado, Mikado. Hilarious, guys. You never cease to amaze us with your jokes. Yeah, definitely. I see a couple comments mentioning severe weather safety. If you do not have a severe weather plan set in motion yet, or just kind of at your house in the event a severe warning is issued, today is that day to get that ready. And again, if you're in the lower peninsula, you do have some time to prepare for later today if gusty winds do in fact make it through and into the lower peninsula. This is going to be winds of between 60 to 90 miles per hour. Yes, that is 90. That could be as high as those wind gusts out there today with a jet streak moving through. Right now, our area of interest is in Wisconsin. So it just left Gogebic and extreme southern Iron counties. And this is going to continue off to the southeast towards the Marinette, Menominee, and Green Bay areas, with perhaps a little bit of eastward extension with time along this area of what we call stratiform rain. And as this line moves southeast, this will continue to head towards the Traverse City area, Ludington, Manistee, and again, move across the Lower Peninsula with a little bit of variability to it. There's also a couple showers leading the way, and they'll allow some stability out there, so it may not be as strong across the area. But still, the ingredients out there kinematically are supportive of gusty winds, whether or not there's already been rain over some of these areas earlier this morning. So you do have that stable layer out there, but gusty winds are still absolutely on the table here this afternoon. That goes for the entire state. The main hazard today, if you guys missed our severe weather map, I'm going to have our mods probably post it here in chat over here on the YouTube side of things. We posted it last night at 11:30, so you'll have to scroll back a little bit and see it on our page. But we have a elevated risk out there. It's a level 4, level 6 for primarily most of the Lower Peninsula, Michigan, especially on the west and southwest sides. Level 3 risk, still a risk no matter what. Again, you still have a level 2 and level 3 risk on the east side of the state. That's still a risk. The odds are lower, so you're less likely to see these gusty winds, but there's a risk nonetheless. Main hazard, winds 60 to 90 miles per hour. That is anywhere in the Lower Peninsula, especially in those areas I just mentioned of the level 3 and level 4 risk. You can go check it out on our Facebook page or our Instagram page at MI Storm Chasers. Secondary threats, spin-up tornadoes, and large hail within embedded cells. At the current time, it is a hail and wind risk that we're watching out there, but this will translate into more of a damaging wind risk and perhaps brief spin-up tornado chances later today. So at the current time, though, hail and wind on the table, and there's so much lightning in this cell in Wisconsin that you can't even see it. It's just buried. That is a sign. If you guys are curious, we have a ton of storm fuel out there this morning, and these storm tops, wow. That's the highest I've ever seen on the EchoTop radar, up around 58,000 feet. That is into the stratosphere. That's how tall these clouds are. New considerable severe thunderstorm warning has been issued along the Michigan-Wisconsin border. 70-mile-per-hour winds and ping pong ball-sized hail if you are in portions of Oneida, Florence, Forest, and Marinette counties in Wisconsin. New considerable severe thunderstorm warning there. We're kind of watching it because it's going to be skirting the border between Michigan and Wisconsin here for the next 2 hours or so. Again, severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central for Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee counties as conditions are favorable for severe weather over the next several hours. Doesn't mean it's happening yet. Warning determines whether or not you do have the threat being imminent. So I might actually post a graphic about that here in a little bit, the difference between a watch and a warning, because we will probably have a severe thunderstorm watch and a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings later on. And because wind could be upwards of 80 to 90 miles per hour later today, we could see those different tiered severe thunderstorm warnings. So obviously there's the difference between a watch and a warning, but there's also different levels to our warnings, depending on how high the wind or the hail size is. So for example, right now we have a severe thunderstorm warning out here in Harrisville, in Oscoda region. It's in effect till 10:45. However, the storm is quickly moving on to Lake Huron. There's a short fused 1 hail core right now on US 23 near Huron Cedar Road. And so again, that's the base severe thunderstorm warning. So that's for 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. You get up to considerable severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be your 70-mile-per-hour winds and or golf ball size hail, so 1.75 inches in diameter. And then you have your destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, which would be your 80-mile-per-hour winds and or baseball size hail. And so we could see a couple of those destructive severe thunderstorm warnings coming in later today. That'd be a level 3 of 3 severe thunderstorm warning. We have a couple level 2 severe thunderstorm warnings out there right now along the Michigan-Wisconsin border for those 70-mile-per-hour winds. And those are going to continue towards the Dickinson and Menominee County regions with time. But right now, no warnings in effect up there in the Upper Peninsula. There's also a new warning back here in Iron County, Wisconsin, very close to the Michigan border, for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail there. And that's going to continue off to the southeast as well, out of the Michigan region. We do have lightning in our MSC app. It is on the pro version, I believe. I know for sure it's on the pro version. I'm not sure about the free version. So I have the pro version, so I didn't really test the free version as much as the pro. That'd be a Ryan question, but he is in the middle of interviews at the current time. Busy day here at MSC. We got staff. We have full operations today. Everyone is pretty much working. We expect this to be a busy day across the state. Some areas will get hit worse than others. Some areas will get completely skimmed. That's just the way storm motion occurs. Again, not everyone will see severe weather today, but everyone is at risk in some capacity to see those 60 to 90 mile per hour winds. So again, that's the equivalent of an EF0 to EF1 tornado across a wide, expansive area. So you do want to be taking this seriously. The risk that is out there today is valid, given our ingredients that are on the table at the current time. The wind pocket has increased as it's moved offshore. So if you know anyone boating out here in the Lake Huron vicinity, that storm has continued to uptick in wind. And the storm that has existed on northern Lake Huron has continued to still backbuild a little bit to the west. And so right now it's still trying to get closer to the Alpena region. If this was on land, that would be quite the flash flood warning, because that storm has just been sitting there for, gosh, probably about the last 2 hours. We've been live for 2.5 hours now already. And that storm has kind of just been there the entire time with those heavy rainfall rates. So thankfully it's over Lake Huron. Can't really flood it more than it already is. But yeah, very impressive storms out there. Fishing or boating or any sort of water activities on Lake Huron today, not advised, especially this morning, in those blue rectangles. Those are your special marine warnings for boaters, as the equivalent of a severe thunderstorm warning over the waters. So if you're inside one of those blue boxes on a boat, turn your vessel around, head to safe harbor immediately until these storms do pass. Thank you, Carol, for 10 joules and Talk for 250 joules. Appreciate you guys. Severe thunderstorm warning has been trimmed. Mankato is no longer in the warning. Oscoda still continues for you guys. Show you care, like and share the stream, or like and share our posts out there today. We appreciate you guys. We want to make sure everyone has the information they need for a day like today. This is your warning. There's no excuses to say we had no warning today when this has been forecasted since, when was the first map I put out? I think it was Wednesday for Monday here. So it's been forecasted for 5 days. Though we have no warning crowd, that is not a valid excuse in a day like today, where there's been plenty of warning over the last couple days here. And again, we do have a level 4 of 6 risk in effect here from us here at MSC. It's a level 3 of 5 if you follow the Storm Prediction Center's forecast. Still, elevated odds. We have 35 to 64% chance of damaging winds today across primarily West Michigan and Central and Southwest Michigan, with a 15 to 34% chance in the level 3 zone of gusty winds. And these winds could be upwards of 75 miles per hour plus. The thumb region might need to watch out if these cells continue to drift south. But the current trajectory, if you look at these blue boxes, it looks like these storms are heading more east than south at the current time. So Port Austin may be clipped at some point, but that won't be for another probably 30 to 45 minutes at the very least. So we're going to keep an eye on these storms. Once that warning goes away here for Oscoda region, we're going to go ahead and hop off for now. Take a little bit of a break, come back for part 4 coverage as needed. It might not be much of a break. We do have more cells starting to pop up on Lake Michigan right now as well. So we could have storm after storm today. over the same area. And then, of course, our main concern is this Boeing segment that would eventually form up here in northeastern Wisconsin. It's going to continue to drift towards Menominee County here with time. Yeah, that's some impressive wind. We're going to have to keep an eye on these. Oh, yeah. That's it right there. Check out the velocity on that, everyone. That is your rear inflow jet. That is the wind getting pushed out very quickly. And there's already 82 mile per hour pixels at 9,700 feet off the ground heading in toward Gagan, Wisconsin. That's how it's pronounced. That could be a destructive severe thunderstorm warning soon. We'll see. Just across the border. If you're a Michigander in the Upper Peninsula heading south into the Wisconsin area, especially anywhere along this US 8 corridor from Monaco over to Goodman, you do not want to be in that vicinity as these storms do move through. This is starting to turn into our Boeing segment for the day. And again, this is going to continue off to the southeast. This is your warning now. This is what is heading into southern Michigan later on. So beyond the lunchtime time frame today for the lower peninsula, that is what needs to be watched up there in northern Wisconsin. So this is your warning. If you have friends and family anywhere in the lower peninsula today, that's probably at least 9.5 million Michiganders. You pretty much know probably 100 Michiganders alone, that you yourself that are watching, that are going to be affected by these storms. Again, not everyone's going to see severe, but with a Boeing segment like this, the odds are elevated up to around as high as 65% that everyone in the level 3 zone would see severe winds. So it's only a 35% chance or less that you don't get those severe winds if you do get a storm. So the odds are greater that you do get wind today versus you don't. Still, does not guarantee you get storms. It's not 100%. It's a 65% chance in primarily the orange zone. You guys would have to check out the severe weather outlook that we posted last night, but it's primarily from a line from Traverse City down through Howell, I believe, through Ann Arbor and Monroe, and points west. That is the level 4 zone out of 6, as your up to 65% chance of damaging winds. If you're east of that line, that is going to be your level 3 zone. That's still a 15 to 34% chance of gusty winds up to 75 miles per hour. Still want to be on alert there. And then the level 3 or level 2 zone in green is going to be primarily just the thumb and northeast lower, as this Boeing segment may not quite make it over that far. So the odds are a lot lower, obviously, but they're not completely zero. And so, again, watching this area, there's also a chance that the Storm Prediction Center does upgrade their severe weather outlook to a level 4 out of 5. There was discussions this morning that mentioned they have the level 3 of 5 risk out from them. It's 30% hatch, significant one is what they call it. That means there is a 30% chance, I think the odds are actually 30 to 44% chance of damaging winds from their forecast. And the SIG 1 means that they have an elevated chance at these 70 plus mile per hour winds. They're thinking about upgrading it to a moderate risk for 45% chance of damaging winds. That's a 45 to 60% significant 2 risk, which would be upwards of 80 plus miles per hour. So we'll have to see. I think their next forecast releases here at, I think it's 11:30 or 12:30 in the afternoon, which they might push it earlier. We'll see, especially with this continuing to grow upscale right now. This is quite the storm in northern Wisconsin. But their next forecast update is somewhere in that noon vicinity. I can't remember which side of noon it was on. But again, if you have plans later today, this singular storm up here, is going to be the responsibility of us to watch here at MSC, but for you to keep an eye on as well. If you do have plans yourself, if you're away from technology, you'd have ways to watch the radar today. We're giving you guys heads up now. Again, we'll keep saying this until we're blue in the face. Not everyone's going to see a warning, but there's a good chance today, 65% chance in that level 4 zone that you do. Waiting for our warning to expire here in Alcona and Iosco counties. These storms are pretty much offshore now. Warning expires in 24 more minutes. Storm still is existing here on US 23. Kind of a secondary cell that's popped up. US 23 near Lake to Lake Road. And extends down into Oscoda region. That's at county 41? It's C41. I imagine that stands for County Road 41, down to the airport. This storm will be offshore here very soon. I'm imagining our weather camera also has a really good view of the storm. We have a Port Austin weather camera. I'm going to see if I can pull this up here real quick before we eventually hop off the stream temporarily. No, that storm in Wisconsin is not likely to weaken unless that stable air that jet streak is currently in somehow, some way weakens it. The kinematics today are out there too strong for any stable air to kind of really prevent these storms from just not happening at all. So we'll see. The only thing that could help us is if that jet streak stays to the west. So it's likely going to stay together, but if that jet streak stays to the west, it'll primarily be a Lake Michigan issue instead of a lower peninsula issue. But we do expect some sort of movement to the east. All right, let's get the Port Austin camera in here. Turn the camera. It's facing to the northeast right now. Oh, wow, we're flying around. It's too hazy. Can't really see anything out there at the current time. Yeah, I mean, you guys can take a look at it for yourself here. Or maybe not. There we go. This is looking into that severe storm north out of Port Austin. This is courtesy of Thumb Cooling and Heating. Storm somewhere in there. Too hazy, though, to really see it at the current time. It is dark. Keep an eye on it, though, as these storms do get closer. Also, again, that storm is getting sheared off, so a lot of these clouds are moving up and over the camera, so it doesn't really paint the picture. Usually you have those centralized updrafts where the upper level shear is not that great, but today it's just all gray. So once again, this camera comes to us courtesy of Thumb Cooling and Heating and Port Austin Hardware in Port Austin, Michigan. Yes, we are live for any and all warnings. We have not missed a single severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning in the state of Michigan dating back to late 2023. Go ahead and check that out. All of our live streams are archived over here on our YouTube channel. So any storm that has been warned over the last 3 years here in the state of Michigan, we've covered live from beginning to end. We are very dedicated to keeping you guys safe. We sacrifice our sleep schedules sometimes for you guys. Last night, Ryan was up all night, making sure the storms didn't go severe. We'll be up all day today with you guys, making sure these storms are being well tracked. As again, 60 to 90 mile per hour winds are possible today with a Boeing segment that is developing in northern Wisconsin at the current time, moving southeast, eventually towards northwest lower, and eventually moving into central and southern lower Michigan. Time different, yeah, the timing map right now, I would say at this point, you guys can just kind of toss that timing map out the window. This Ring of Fire setup, it just kind of does whatever it wants. So slowed way down. We saw it firsthand. The line of storms should have been in Traverse City between now and 10 a.m. or between 8 and 10 a.m. It is 10:25. The storms are still over in northern Wisconsin. So this is running about 2 to 3 hours behind. So if you want to still use the timing map from earlier, add about 2 to 3 hours on top of the timing map. So if you're in the 2 to 4 p.m. time zone, it's going to be closer to 5 to 7 this evening, for example. Or if you're at the noon to 2 o'clock time frame, it's going to be closer to the 3 to 5. Yes, and the mods are up all night as well. Our mods are awesome. Our entire staff is just so dedicated to making sure you guys are getting the warning and getting the resources you need. Again, huge shout out to the mods because they're always posting the links in chat here. Anytime I mention something like submit weather reports or submit Discord chats or submit reports to our Discord server or the ways to receive warning, they always have a link ready to go, and I appreciate them so much for that. They're also ready to use that ban hammer if you guys act up in chat. So always please keep it civil in chat. Our moderators will step in if needed. Please do not ask repetitive questions about your location, etc., etc. Usually on severe weather streams, we will be tracking these storms live from beginning to end. So keep that in mind later today when this Boeing segment moves from Wisconsin down to the Lower Peninsula. We are going to be talking about the cities that are being impacted in the warnings. If you are still downstream, if you're down in Lansing when there's a warning up in Traverse City, do not ask what about Lansing because storms are still way far away from you guys. And truthfully, we can't really see into the future. We can see kind of where these storms are heading within the next hour, but storm motion and storm development up and down all around, it's honestly depending on what storms do and what the environment is doing in that area. And sometimes it's just waiting and seeing. So we do a good job of forecasting. When it comes down to these storms going to certain locations and what they'll do at certain locations, that's basically trying to future tell something that is nearly impossible with the trillions of data points that are coming in every single minute of the day. The atmosphere is a fluid. There's a lot of data points that are just kind of going around, up and down, all over the place. Got to keep that in mind when we're talking about severe weather days and we're going over these severe weather events. So again, if you're down in, we have severe warnings up here in, for example, Ludington, Manistee later today, and you're down in Kalamazoo, Detroit, asking about your location, we're just not going to answer that because, again, that's really, really far away from where the storms are currently. And truthfully, if you guys think about it, logically speaking here, if we have 50,000 people in chat watching the stream, we do, usually, and every single person is asking, what about my city? We would have no time at all to track the storms that are on the radar. That's just, we're 2 people. We can't cover every single warning, or can't cover every single city and tell you guys road to road what's happening. We're going to be talking about the severe warnings that are occurring and what cities are currently being impacted. So we'll do our best to keep you in the loop. However, do yourself a great service if you study a map of Michigan and knowing where the counties are at. So that way, if you are down in Ingham County, for example, and you see severe thunderstorm warning for Manistee or Benzie County, you'd be like, aha, that's 6 counties away from me. I'm still good for now. Might want to watch later on, but I'm chilling. So it's good to kind of memorize that. And especially if you're ever traveling, like if you live in Lansing, for example, if you travel, taking a trip to West Michigan, going to the beach like Grand Haven, you'd be like, what county is Grand Haven in? Oh, they're in Ottawa County. So if I hear Ottawa County in the morning, and it's also next to Muskegon County, if I hear Muskegon County in the morning, then I should probably pack up and get to the car. So it's always good to memorize a Michigan map because then you're putting yourself at a great service during these severe weather streams when you can see the storms still coming your way, but they're still a far distance off. Yeah, that's Danielle puts it up perfectly in her Twitch chat. Stay tuned as this is a nowcast situation, absolutely. Which means we're kind of just rolling with the punches today, and we're forecasting as we go along. Ring of Fire. Storms are traveling off to the southeast. Speeds vary. There's also a couple cells on Lake Huron that are moving due east, but also back building south because of the jet stream. So it's very random. Those are some very intense thunderstorms on Lake Huron. I mean, if you're out there boating right now, I would just not be. Hightail it to the nearest harbor if you can, or just continue to book it south away from these storms because these storms are heading south and east at the current time, and that gap is closing too. So not fun, but we are now severe free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and read off our trusted partners and take a little bit of a break here before we get another warning in. So trusted partners are what keep us going here 24/7, 365 days a year. We have plenty in operational expenses and staff expenses, so feel free to support these trusted partners. That'll be read off down at the bottom of the screen. Also, this might be a good day to kind of write down some of these numbers. So I'm going to read off these trusted partners, and I'm going to mention what side of the state they are on. So if you do get impacted by severe weather later today, and you do have house damage or tree damage, then you can turn to this nearest trusted partner nearest to you. And again, they're all locally owned. They're licensed and insured for your convenience, so you don't have to reach out in your Facebook community post asking for some sketchy business to kind of do an interview with you and yada, yada, yada. We went through that. We went through the vetting process. And if you're ever confused, feel free to reach out to us. We are on standby. We can get you in contact with the nearest trusted partner nearest to you here at MSC. So feel free to turn to these trusted partners that we'll list off here down below at the bottom of the screen. So take note, screenshot the screen, or write them down as I read them off. Starting first, and this is in alphabetical order, A-Class Construction and Restoration. That's going to be Northwest Lower Michigan. That's Ludington, Traverse City, and surrounding regions. American Arbor, for any tree work in Southwest Lower Michigan. Apex Restoration and Mitigation, for any sort of water, mold, fire, or even storm emergency in Genesee County and the Thumb. Battle Creek IT, for all of your IT needs in the Lower Peninsula. For all of your equipment rental needs across the Lower Peninsula, Carlton Equipment Company. For all of your fuel and propane delivery needs across the state of Michigan, Crystal Flash. Ink Media, for all of your digital marketing and website designs. Katz Roofing and Siding, that is going to be the Potterville and Lansing area, so Eaton, Clinton, and Ingham counties. Kuiper Tree Care, that's all of West Michigan, especially Muskegon, Kent, Ottawa, and a couple of the surrounding counties. McKay Tree Specialist, that is Southeast Michigan, that's majority of Southeast Michigan. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding, that is specifically for Sanilac and St. Clair counties and perhaps surrounding regions. On Top Roofing, specifically for Livingston County and surrounding regions. PFCU Credit Union with multiple branches across the southern Lower Peninsula. Rainbow Restoration, for all of your restoration work across West Michigan. Rapid Radios, for all of your LTE wireless communication needs, as a company based out of Grand Rapids. If you'd like to donate to a great charity, feel free to do so to Ronald McDonald House Charities of Detroit at the number on the screen. Surf Pro, covering the entire state, from fire and water damage to mold remediation and storm cleanup, 24/7, 365. StormGuard Metro Detroit North, covering specifically the north side of Detroit. That's Oakland, Macomb, and Washtenaw counties. Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors, primarily in West Michigan, so all of around Kent County, essentially. Top Notch Tree Care, for all of your tree care needs in the 127 corridor, so Jackson and Ingham County between Lansing and Jackson. Also, you can include Clinton County in there as well. Lastly, Victor's Home Solutions, for all of your roofing, gutters, and attic installation services to protect your home and family for years to come across the Tri-Cities area. So that would be Midland, Bay, Saginaw. They do extend also into Isabella County as well, so up towards Mount Pleasant. And again, they could also extend even up here into northern lower as well. So again, we have plenty of trusted partners. There's also a couple gaps out there. We understand we don't have trusted partners for all regions of the state, but we do have them for most regions of the state, especially the ones or in the areas that are well populated. So if you have a business that is in an area where there's no trusted partners really at all, feel free to reach out. Become a trusted partner with us here at MSC. Spots are limited, but you can have your business posted here to millions of Michiganders, becoming a trusted partner. So feel free to reach out to Chandler at michiganstormchasers.com if you'd like to get the ball rolling on that. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Ryan is no longer in the background. He is in the interview. So we're going to go ahead and end the stream here. There's no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect at the current time. There's a couple of severe thunderstorm watches in effect for Iron, Dickinson, and Powers. And the radar is down. Okay. There we go. This is our Boeing 7 that we are watching later today. These winds in here are already up around 70 miles per hour according to the severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. We may see a short fused severe thunderstorm warning here in a little bit from Menominee County, so if so, we'll be back for part 4 coverage. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be watching in the background. We'll have posts coming up on the page here throughout the afternoon hours for severe weather safety and maybe timing, but at this point, it's more of a nowcast event. We're just going to be tracking these warnings, warning by warning, here on our live severe weather coverage here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or X for any severe weather coverage. So if you know someone that doesn't have a Facebook account, for example, feel free to have them check out our YouTube channel. You don't need an account to follow us on or to watch our streams on YouTube. So that's the best way to watch. Again, our account name is MI Storm Chasers. Also, with so much potential for damaging winds today, if you are an Apple user and have not downloaded our app yet, it is now out on Apple only at the current time. It is out of our control for the Google side of things. We submitted it to Google. It is in review. It just has not been released yet. Apple users, download the app, Michigan Storm Chasers, specifically for the reporting section of the app. At the bottom of the screen, there'll be a reporting tab. And again, you cannot take screenshots from someone else or from your own camera roll and put them in the app. You have to take it through the app so it prevents any sort of copyright or false reports. So again, when you are taking reports with our MSC app, please do so in the app. And what'll be nice is it'll be geotagged and also have a compass on it. So it'll show you which direction you're facing as you move your phone around in all directions. So it's a pretty cool feature. You can also take video with it. We recommend it to be under 2 minutes. So that way we're not, just kind of watching every 2 minutes just for nothing to happen. But again, if there's video that's worth being more than 2 minutes, feel free to send it our way on the app. Otherwise, if you don't have our app yet, our messenger is open. Please use our messenger only today for damage reports. Do not ask us questions in messenger. We're trying to keep it open because of how much impact that this severe line could have later today. So if you don't have the app yet, if you're an Android user, can't get the app yet, Messenger or Discord, discord.gg/Michigan Storm Chasers are options. We also do have our Michigan Weather Reports community on Facebook. Otherwise, again, the MSC app is open to Apple users. For now, I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Thank you, Mods, for helping out. Thank you, Dawn, for helping out with the ASL translating down there at the bottom of the screen. Also, shout out to CSX Man, sending 440 joules over here on YouTube. Appreciate you guys' support. But for now, I'm going to hop off. I'm Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritzman signing off for now. Stay safe this afternoon. Have a weather-ready plan in place in case a severe warning is issued. And we'll catch you back here live for more severe weather coverage here in probably a couple hours or maybe even a couple minutes, depending on if Menominee County goes warm. Stay safe, everyone. We'll talk soon.